I'm going to open up the call line in just a second. I'm going to open up the call lines in just a second. So if you'd like to talk about what I have on the board, definitely go ahead and hit that request button. Y'all go ahead and start liking that live. I do appreciate the gift I just received. Tap that screen, y'all. Tap, tap, tappity tap. Bring the person right back up. Tap that screen, y'all. Tap, tap, tappity tap. I do see the request. Give me one moment. Let me accept this request real quick. All right, cool. I'm gonna go and accept that. What happened to the request? Whoever requested, go ahead and come back up. Whoever requested, go ahead and come back up. Y'all start liking the live though. Start liking the live. Start sharing it. Okay, accept that person. Oh, you didn't mean to request. Okay, not a problem. All right, y'all. So if you would like to talk about what happened, hey, I appreciate the corgi. Appreciate that. I do appreciate that. Appreciate that, corgi. I really, really do. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Appreciate the corgi. All right, it started over here. Appreciate that. Appreciate the corgi, y'all. All right, y'all. So we're go ahead and keep tapping that screen. Go ahead and keep tapping that screen. I appreciate appreciate the gift. Y'all go ahead and tap that screen, y'all. Tap that screen so we can go ahead and get some folks in here. I'm gonna start the call-in line in just a sec. And so once we have the call-in line going, we'll probably go ahead and get some guests. But go ahead and tap that screen, y'all. So y'all see the topic on the board. Today we're talking faith and religion. Can you give me a good reason to believe in a God? And if you can, or if you think that you can, definitely come on up and have us talk about it. What's good, Resist? What's good, Wild Weed? I appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate y'all being here. Hey, and it's Anima. Anima, how's it going, Anima? Let's get those screen tabs going. We're gonna go ahead and get those screen tabs going. Yep, get them going up there, y'all. Let's try to get to 1,000. If we get to 1,000, we might get some folks in here. We already winning big on those numbers, y'all. And once again, like I always say, I always appreciate it. I always appreciate anybody who would like to come up, have a discussion. I'm gonna start the call-in line soon. Shout out to the folks watching over on the Volcy Thoughts channel, my personal channel. Shout out to you if you're watching me from the Deconstruction Junction. And if you're watching me over on the Black Atheist Coalition, I appreciate you there as well. How's it going, y'all? How's it going? How's it going? How's it going, y'all? I'm just waiting for. Okay, cool. We do got one. What's up, Libra? How's it going, Libra? All
Hi,
right.
horse.
All right, cool. Hey, how's it going? Your name is Canadian?
Yeah.
How's it going, Canadian? Are you at least 18?
Well, I'm just gonna state my argument. As an atheist, A, I don't believe that you have sufficient reason to even know what's good and what's bad. B, you don't know what reason is. And C, you can't justify that you actually exist.
I can't justify that I actually exist. You're talking to me.
You don't know that.
Yeah, I do. The fact that we're talking is how I know that.
That's a fact.
Yeah, it's a fact. I'm talking to you, so
How do you know you're not talking to an alien?
So what, like you're talking to like are you trying to argue like solipsism? Like we can't prove that we're not a brain in a vat?
No, like I said, C, you can't prove your existence. There's no way.
The only way that I can prove my existence is the fact that I'm interacting with you. That's the only way. Because
No.
we can't tell that we're not a brain in a vat, because you can't prove your existence either. You're in my same position.
Okay. I'm gonna disambiguate. So if we were to see, if me and you were to look at a rooster, correct? Does that rooster exist in reality? And we just discovered it. We just say, oh shoot, it's a rooster. Nobody else has seen it.
As far as we can see, yeah. As far as we know, yeah, that rooster exists. Because again,
Okay.
you're trying to argue that we can't.
No, I
prove
agree.
that,
I agree.
Hold on, you're trying to argue that we can't prove that we're a brain in a vat. Yeah, we can't do that. The only thing that we can use is our senses. That's the only thing that we can use. That's a hard stop.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I understand. That's the logical conclusion from your paradigm. So now that rooster. So let's say there's somebody down the street who's never seen a rooster before. Does that rooster exist in their reality?
The rooster still exists. They just don't have a label for it.
But you said that we know that we exist and we understand things, like we label them once we see them. The other person has never seen a rooster. They don't know if it exists. But does that mean that the rooster's out of existence?
No. If once they see the rooster, right? I'm not saying that just because they can't see it, the rooster doesn't exist. That's not what I'm trying to say. The rooster still exists. They just don't have a label for it. So I'm not sure what you're trying to ask. If they're down the road,
good, perfect.
If they're down the road and they see the rooster, right? Yeah, it exists. They just don't have the label for it.
I don't grant you that. No, I don't grant you that, because then we ask the question: if they never see the rooster, does it exist in reality?
It still exists in reality.
But they've never seen it. They've never seen it.
Doesn't matter. I've never seen Jupiter. It still exists.
What? So something could exist inside of reality without you seeing it.
Correct.
Right? Okay, perfect. Not only does this apply to God, right? But now you don't have a basis, a function on like A and B. You're just going off like whatever your brain tells you. Right? So if I just simply say if I just simply say I've seen God, or God has spoken to me, what would your argument against that be?
Okay, sure. How do you? That's hearsay. How do you actually prove that to be true? I don't doubt what I always say. What I always say is that I don't doubt your experience. I doubt what you attributing your experience to. So yeah, you experience something, right? And you're labeling that experience as God. But like, is that how do we show that this supernatural experience actually happened, like in reality? Now, what you're attributing the experience to, which is a God, how do we now show that part? Because for example,
this is ad hoc.
For example, if it's not ad hoc, it's the same thing with the rooster. If a person has never seen a rooster and I tell them this animal actually exists, and they're like, I've never seen that animal. Yeah. All right, cool. I can show you how that animal exists. I can bring it to you.
Can. What if you go down the road and the rooster's not there?
Well, we have the internet now, right? We can Google. Yeah, which means we have the internet now.
Because this,
we can
you're
Google.
just running away.
Or I can actually take them to a farm or take them to the person's house that had the rooster. If you live in a West Indian, hold on. If you live in a West Indian community, chickens and roosters are everywhere. If you live around Cubans, around Haitians, around Bahamians, Cubans and roosters are everywhere. I'm Haitian, so I know, right? So all I got to do is take them to the neighborhood person that has chickens and be like, boom, there's the rooster. All I got to do is take them there. I can physically show them the rooster. If they've never seen an animal that does that, I can go to them and physically show it to them. Like I can verify it, right? I don't come up with cute little arguments. I can just verify with them.
I mean arguments, but you already said from the beginning, our consciousness comes from our brain, and our brain is the one endowing things with labels. Now, we haven't even gotten to why our brain does that, right? An atheist would just say they don't know. There's no way to ground any of like your thinking.
What do you mean? But, like when you say when we endow things with our brain endows things with
I was going to go back to the rooster example.
When we say that we endow things, when we say that our brain endowing things with labels, that's when that society is doing, right? We come up with language. We just make things up. We have the ability to make voices, to make sounds, and that sound is language. For us to understand each other, we have to go ahead and create language. So
yeah, but I don't grant that you know what that is.
I don't know what language is.
No, you don't. You can't fully know. You can't confirm it.
What do you mean I can't confirm it? Like we're both speaking English, aren't we not?
That's why I was gonna finish the rooster example before you interrupted me.
All right,
you don't even know if I'm speaking English. English is just all the things that you just listed are just qualitative. They're just labels.
The labels that we put
the thing.
The labels that we put to these sounds that we're making, we call it English. Just like that series of sounds that I just did, we call it Haitian Creole.
Yeah, but what's the basis? What's the argument for this actually having a basis?
What are you talking about?
Do you think that this is just coming at...
What do you mean having a basis? What does that mean?
Yeah, you don't have a foundation on actually grounding these things in reality.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm describing, but you keep cutting me off.
No, so but you're not describing anything. I'm asking you, what does that mean?
You keep cutting me off. Do you want the answer?
When you say,
okay, you don't want the answer. Go ahead.
When you say that I have no basis to ground language in reality, what exactly does that mean?
Okay, so this is what I mean, right? Inside of your brain, and you affirmed that you're an idealist and you're the one attributing things, right? Without you, there's no way of validating existence. So what I mean by that is individually, right? Outside of your individual, then you get conflicting accounts. So you can't really agree on what exists.
No,
if you understand what I'm trying to say.
No, because like you're attributing is just to me the individual, right? So if when you say that I individually can't confirm what
the argument's not finished. Do you want to hear the rest?
Well, you asked me if what I said makes sense. I'm telling you no, and I'm telling you why it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, sure. Individually, myself, I can't confirm what exists, right? Let's say I grant you that. But doesn't that mean that we
you just conceded?
Doesn't that all right? So let's say I grant you that, right? So, but the issue that we're having is that that's not really how we confirm we exist. We cross-reference each other, don't we?
Yeah, but I don't have to grant you that. That's the whole thing that's under contention.
You don't have to grant.
You interrupted me.
You don't have to grant.
That's under contention.
You the one who asked me if it makes sense. You know who asked me.
Thank you.
And now you're upset. And now you're upset. Now you're upset that I answered.
You're manifesting.
All right. I'm gonna need you to do this for me. If we're gonna have a conversation, you gotta quit the snarkiness, bro. You gotta quit that.
Yeah, hello.
Because I'm not. Hold on. Everyone else, hold on. I'm talking to one person. You're gonna have to stop the snarkiness, bro. You gotta stop doing that. Don't laugh. Don't do all this bullshit because I don't do the Phil bro thing. You're actually here way longer than I would grant anybody else.
Not a Phil bro.
Because I don't do this entire Phil bro thing. The moment you labeled me an idealist and I didn't even tell you that I was, that's when I knew that you were a Phil bro. All right. So hold on. I ain't done.
Okay.
If we're gonna have a conversation, be respectful. Stop the snarky shit. Can you do that?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Great. So I don't understand what you're saying, which is why I'm asking questions. You asked me if what you just said made sense. So so yeah, sure. On our own, individually, I can't say this ball of water exists as an individual person. Sure, I can't prove that I'm not a brain of that. All we have is our empirical senses, right? As a hard stop, you agreed with that. As a hard stop, you agreed that all we have is our empirical senses. The only way I can say I know this exists is if I'm experiencing this water bottle, right? Cool.
But you just conceded.
Now
you
what
just
happens?
Said that you don't know.
Now what happens? Now what happens?
Well, dude. Okay, my bad for laughing, but you just conceded the argument. Then
I'm not sure what your argument is.
You just concede. Okay, you just said you don't know if that exists. You don't know if you're just a brain in a vac, right?
Yeah, that's solipsism. None of us can do that. None of us know.
No,
none of us can prove.
Exactly.
None of us can prove.
Okay,
everybody be quiet. Everybody be quiet. None of us can prove that we're not a brain of that, including you.
Exactly.
No, God is external to me. God is good. God is truth.
How do you know that?
Can also create the.
How do you know? How do you know that there that you're not being pumped with this information while you're a brain of that? How do you know that?
What do you mean?
How
well,
you know
I do
okay,
it for example,
that.
Bro,
for
why
example,
are two people speaking at once?
Everybody pause. Okay, so you said that I can't prove this exists. I can't prove that I'm not a brain of that, and it's just pumping me with this experience. How do you know your experience of God is not doing the same thing? You're just a brain of that, and whoever's is plugging experience into your brain is also pumping this experience of God. How do you know we're in the same position?
Perfect. So now we're moving to God, right? Before I was just critiquing your position, but do you want to speak about God now? I just wanted to put it out there.
My position is that we're both
Well,
in
I'm
the same.
I'm just asking a clarifier.
Hold on.
Can I answer?
Because I don't think
Bro.
you understand my position.
I do.
All right. So what's my position?
Your position is that nobody could prove that we're all brain in a vax, and I have to substantiate my position on why I believe that God negates this.
Right. But the issue is that you haven't shown that. The issue is this. You cannot show that you're not I'm not a brain of that. Even if you just argue that. Hold on. Even if you just argue God negates it, you cannot show how you still cannot show that you're not a brain of that. And the God experience that you're having is just plugging things into the matrix, just like someone plugging me into the matrix and experiencing this water bottle. We're both in the same position. How do you negate it?
Thank you. Now we have different like this is a different argument. So you already conceded that nobody could even prove anything, right? So we're just all like walking around. So I would also say that you want to speak? My bad. You could finish for me.
I didn't say that.
Some other guy just spoke over me.
All right, so everybody pause. I'm speaking to one person at a time.
Okay, thank you. So
this is what I'm trying to understand. I'm sorry, and I forgot your name, Canadian. All right, so this is what I'm trying to understand.
Wait,
right?
May I finish? The guy just cut me off. I was in the middle of speaking.
I'm going to let you go, bro. I'm just trying to clarify what you understand. I'm just trying to clarify what I understand.
You're repeating the whole time. And
hold on. Oh, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, but give me a second.
Wait, may I finish? So I was in the middle of speaking.
I'm going to let you finish. I'm just going to go ahead and just for us not to get confused, for me to reiterate what I'm trying to understand.
I know your position.
All right, I'm just going to reiterate in case anyone got lost, bro. Would you let me do that? Would you let me host? Am I allowed to host my own live? Am I allowed to host my own live? I'm just going to reiterate what we're trying to understand in case anyone got sidetracked and confused. So to reiterate what we're trying to understand is, how is God the breaker of solipsism? Because none of us can't prove that we're a brain of that. Myself, I can't prove that this bottle isn't just, codes being fed to my brain. What I'm trying to ask is, how do you know that this experience of God isn't also code being fed to your brain? How do we get the difference?
Thank you.
What do we do?
So the reason as to even why we're talking about this is because I was arguing against the prompt. You just conceded the prompt by saying that. You just said that we can't prove anything, like you're a brain in a vac. Therefore, you don't know what good reason is. So that just negates your prompt. You need to change the prompt. You conceded the argument.
No, I didn't.
This is a different argument.
Because this doesn't give me a good reason to believe that. Because so you're saying that
you don't know
because I cannot prove that we're shut up. Because I cannot prove that I'm not a brain of that. Therefore, that gives me a good reason to believe in a God. That's stupid.
No, what logically follows is that you don't know what a good reason is. That's the point.
No, I know what a good reason is. A good reason is evidence. Good reason, evidence, things like that. That's a good reason. Evidence would be a good reason, wouldn't it?
What do you mean? That's circular.
No, it's not.
Grant you evidence. You don't know what evidence is.
All right, so you don't grant me evidence. Anything. All right, so you don't grant me evidence.
You conceded. You
all right.
Can't
so
prove
if you don't grant me evidence, how do you know anything existed? If you don't think about evidence,
I believe in God.
I know you believe in God. I know you believe in God, but you haven't given me the reason why I should think that God is a symmetry breaker of code being fed to my brain and code not being fed to your brain.
Sir. By you saying that you don't even know your existence, you concede that you don't know good reason.
Neither do you.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Neither do you.
Okay,
none of us can break solipsism. Neither of us. Hold on, Canadian, shut up. Neither of us can break solipsism. Neither of us.
Okay, so you believe that you conceded the prompt?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't concede the prompt.
Okay, so stop trying to run to my God. I'm not bailing you out.
All right, this is stupid. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on. This is very stupid. None of us can disprove the solipsism. It's a hard problem philosophy. None of us can disprove it. This is stupid.
Exactly. Can I say something? Just 30 seconds, 20, 10?
Go ahead.
Okay, I believe we all just black holes in a solipsism world because we come out of black holes. We want into.
All right. So Kaizen, how's it going, Kaizen? Are you at least 18? And can you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yes, dude. Well, I think I can give you many things, but yes, I think I can give you good argument. Dude.
Sure. Well, what do you think a good reason is?
I think a good reason is a deductive inference that follows certain premises where the conclusion is God exists, sir.
All right, which God?
Yeah, just any God, dude.
Just any God?
Yeah, dude. I mean, my
So
God.
so
is,
Olo
my God is
so
interspecific to God.
Olodumare, the god of Yoruba religion, would also exist under that paradigm.
Hold on, dude. I said the only
Hold
thing
on,
that I'm
wait,
doing
hold on,
right
hold on,
now
Kaizen,
is
Kaizen,
proving-
Kaizen, Kaizen,
Oh,
Kaizen. You
okay.
said some argumentation that basically ends with a God existing, right? And I just went ahead and said, all right, cool, whatever. Let's say the argument ends with God existing. All right, sure. Let's grant that. Now, when I asked you which God, you said any God. All right. So that means the God of Western African Yoruba religion, Olodumare, also exists under this paradigm.
No, dude, it's a two-stage argument, like Braden said in the comments, dude. It's you have to go through the first stage.
But
of the argument.
Kaizen, you just told me. When I asked you which God, then you said anyone. All right, cool.
Yeah,
So Olodumare, then you can't say any God, but then say, oh no, there's another one, or no, there's another. Hold on, wait, Kaizen, stop.
Oh my goodness.
You can't, Kaizen. I'm gonna need y'all to chill, bro. Listen to what I'm saying to you. You cannot say, when I ask you, okay, at this conclusion of this argument, which God exists, and then you say any God. And I said, cool, so Olodumare. And then you say, oh, wait, well, no, not him, something else. That's not the end of the argument then. That's not the end of the argument. Does the end of the argument, hold on, does the end of your argument end with a specific God, yes or no?
Oh, okay. Can I clarify, please?
Go ahead. I'll give you that chance.
Okay, cool. So the first argument is necessary proof that a God exists. Okay. And then there's a following stage, a second stage of the argument that proves, or at least gives good reason to believe in the Christian God, right? So to me, there's multiple stages of the argument. The first one being proving that a God exists, and then the second one being proving that the Christian God exists.
Okay, what evidence is that supernatural is an actual thing? How do we do that?
What do you mean by supernatural, sir?
You said God, so that invokes the supernatural. So what? How do we do that?
You want me to prove that the God exists, sir? The first stage of the argument.
Let's go to the first stage. Well, we have to prove that a supernatural is even possible. So how do we do that?
So I'll give you an argument that goes like this. I'll give you two different arguments. The first one is just conceptual, okay? And it goes as follows. If God does not exist, then atheism does not exist. Atheism does exist, therefore God exists.
That's stupid. What do you mean if God?
What atheism
God
means, bro?
Atheism is simply a rejection of a God proposition. You say something.
No, not
exists,
you, Kaizen.
I
That's not the Kaizen.
I got you. Give me a second. So atheism is simply a rejection of a premise. You said that supernatural, this being exists, and I'm saying I don't believe that. So if you're saying that because I don't believe something, that makes it exist. So I don't believe that Frieza from Dragon Ball Z is an actual real entity. That means Frieza exists. That's stupid.
No, remember, it's about conceptual. So of course Frieza is conceptual.
Yeah. How do you know? And how do you show that your God is not?
Oh, if you want me to prove that God exists ontologically, I can do that for you.
What do you mean exists ontologically? How do we show that a God exists? What do we do? Because you just can't simply say because I reject. Hold on, you can't simply say just because I reject your proposition, therefore that makes your proposition true. That's stupid.
Let me tell you this, okay? So I'll give you a better argument that you might like. Premise one.
It's not about me liking anything. Hold on, Kaizen. Don't give me another argument. What is the evidence that the supernatural being exists?
That's what I'm doing right now. Sir.
Arguments are not evidence, bro. Arguments can
That's a blunder.
Arguments can give us a concept of one, right? But how do you actually verify what you're saying?
Dude?
How do you
Dude? That's not how
Kaizen? How do you verify? Kaizen? How do you verify what you're saying?
Dude, have you ever taken logic class or open textbook about philosophy? Please do.
Can you actually answer what my question is?
Can I actually? I don't know if I can do that.
Can you just answer my question? When you say that, well, hold on. Can you just answer my question? My question is, what is the evidence that a God exists? You say you're going to give me an argument. Cool. You can give me an argument I can give you an argument for dragons. That wouldn't mean that dragons exist, bro.
Yeah,
we
but
need
the
some sort of
argument would
we
not
need
be
some
sound.
sort of we need some sort of verification. For example, let me give you an example of what I mean. That's what I mean.
You
Before,
clearly
hold
don't
on,
know
let
logic.
me just give you an example of what I mean. Before we verified atoms, scientists used to argue all the time whether or not atoms existed, right? They were and the evidence that each of them had was through some sort of mathematical model, et cetera, until we were able to invent electron telescopes. Then we were able to verify that atoms, yes, were an actual thing. But before then, they were coming up with proofs, usually mathematic proofs or something like that. What do we do for a God? Do we just kind of argue each other
Okay.
back and forth with concepts, or do we have some sort of observational or mathematical proof or anything like that? What exactly do we do?
Let me tell you why everything you just said is false previously. Okay,
No.
arguments-
Answer that question. What
Can you-
exactly do we do in order to verify this God exists? What do we do?
That's an heretically.
Kaizen. We're not gonna Kaizen. We're not gonna go back and forth on everything that I said. We're not gonna do that. We are going to move on. How do we verify? It's a very valid question because you're the one saying that. All right, I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna fight for the mic in my own life. You are the one claiming that this God exists. I'm asking you, cool, how exactly do we verify that? What do we actually do? And if you say we're gonna make arguments, cool, you can make your arguments, but then what do we do to verify what your argument is saying is true? Do we have some sort of mathematical model? Do we have some sort of observational evidence? What exactly do we do? That's all I'm asking is, what exactly do we do? After you made your whole argument, what exactly do we do to verify what your argument is saying? What do we do?
Yeah, I'll tell you. So how arguments operate in logic is where the two premises can join an operation. If those premises are true, the conclusion is necessarily true. Okay, so even if you don't believe or you reject the premise, that's where we go over the premises and we go over the motivation or why you reject particular premises. Okay, that was like a very bad blunder because arguments are the literal best proof for any proposition you could possibly conceive of.
Okay? No, they're not.
Now, secondly, deductive arguments, yes, they are, dude. Please look it up. Anyways, now in any other case,
what do we do at the end of the day? What do we do to verify what exactly you're saying? Because again, I asked it several times and you went off on a tangent. All I'm asking you is, after you made all your arguments, how do we verify anything? Do we have any sort of model? Do we have any observational evidence? What exactly do we do? That's all I asked you, bro.
I already answered that question.
No, you didn't. You just said that we make another argument.
Can you repeat back what I said to you too?
No, because it was a lot. So I just talked for 2 minutes. I understand everything that you said, guy. I understand everything that you said. What I'm asking is, now what do we do to verify? Because the only thing that you said, well, we just make another argument. That doesn't verify anything. What do we do to verify?
That's not what I said, dude.
If I argue with you that dragons exist, how do I actually verify the dragon? How do I do that?
Okay, so this is how you do that, right? So when you evaluate the premises, we'll investigate whether or not the functions of the premises are actually true, okay? And through our investigation and our philosophical inferences, we discover whether or not the argument is sound. If the argument is sound, the conclusion is necessarily true. So if you have an argument that is sound for the proposition that dragons exist, then dragons exist trivially.
What's a sound argument for the God thing then?
Okay, here we go. I give you sound argument. So let me tell you just this. If there are two competing hypotheses where the inference is the universe is finely tuned, and you want to find the best explanation or inferences for the possibility of the universe being finely tuned, it's best explained on the theistic hypothesis over the naturalistic hypothesis, given it seems as though there's intention in the universe. That's the argument for God.
How do we show that there's intention for the universe?
Yeah, so the cosmological, gravitational, various types of constants that exist in the universe.
That doesn't show an intention. That just shows that how our universe operates. That doesn't mean that it was intended to operate that way.
What do you think intention is, dude?
And intention is like something like deliberate, essentially.
Okay, and what do you think shows intention about various things or propositions, right?
Yeah, basically like functionality. Basically, we'll have to look outside of it in order for us to know the intention, right? Like and we can't really
What
do that
does
with the
that even
universe.
I don't even know what that
What I
means.
mean by look outside of it, right? Like for example, we know that the intention of a car is transportation because like that's literally what the person who invented it said it was for. Like instead of using horses, we're gonna use this mobile that gets us everywhere, right? Like we know who the inventor is, we saw their blueprints, et cetera, et cetera. So we know what the intention of a car is because we're looking outside the car. But we can't do that with the universe.
Why can we not do that with the universe? Dude?
Because we cannot, we don't explore another one, do we? This is the only universe that we have. We can't explore another one.
What, dude? That doesn't even make sense, man. You could possibly make those inferences.
Okay. Let me explain. Let me explain with this with two things, right? What I'm trying to get you to understand is that what are we comparing it to? For example, if we see a silk road, hold on, Kaizen, wait.
Oh.
I'm trying to tell you, you're the one who asked me the question. Now you don't want me to answer it.
You just asked me.
You're the one who hold on. You're the one who asked me the question. You're the one who said it doesn't make sense. I don't know what you mean, and I'm trying to explain it to you, and now you don't. Now you don't want me to answer you. Come on.
I need you to lock in, dude.
I'm the one locking in. You're the one who doesn't want me to answer your question.
Dude,
all right, Kaizen. You're the one who asked me. You're the one who said that doesn't make sense to me. What do you mean? And now I'm trying to give you the example. You don't want me to answer. Come on, bro. All right. So this is what I mean. Here's what I mean. Don't do that again. So this is what I mean. Hey. All right. This is what we're gonna do. All right. Yeah, we're not gonna do this. I already asked you. I already told everybody this. Stop the snarky shit. I actually want to have a conversation with y'all. But if y'all just gonna do a snarky Phil bro shit, I'm just gonna drop you. Stop the snarky shit, bro. That's all I'm asking. I'll let Kaizen back up, but Kaizen, you gotta stop the snarky shit, bro. You gotta stop doing that. I'm not here for that. Hey, Satan, how's it going, bro?
What's up, buddy? I just want a quick clarification for everybody else here. The background is, can you give me a good reason to believe in your God? Is a philosophical argument going to convince you?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, so everyone else that comes up, if you try to do a philosophical argument, it's not going to convince them. So it's,
there's an obvious,
not your life to be in.
It seems like there's an obvious problem, right? So obviously God is dealing with some kind of
Not your turn. All right. So Real 19, how's it going, Real 19? Are you at least 18? And do you think you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yes, man. What's up, man? I'm 42.
Yeah, how's it going, man? Do you think you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
I mean, I can try my best. I mean,
yeah, sure. What do you think that reason is?
Well, I believe that everybody was created. Every creature was created. I believe that he's the reason, God is the reason why everybody live, move, and have their being. He's the reason why everything exists.
All right,
that's the only thing that makes sense.
Right, but you don't see the obvious issue here is first you have to actually show does God exist first, and how do you do that?
Well, do you believe that Jesus existed? Do you believe that Jesus is a historical figure?
I don't have an issue with Jesus being a historical figure, or at least several figures amalgamated into one. That's a certain thought process, as a certain hypothesis that some folks have. I don't have an issue with Jesus existing as a person, right? Because I'm not too much of a mythicist. Like I don't have an issue with Jesus existing, but Jesus existing wouldn't really tell me that a God exists. He could just have been a regular person.
Well, according to Christianity theology, Jesus Christ is God in flesh.
Right. Real. Hold on. Pause real quick. I understand that's what Christian theology says, but that doesn't mean that it's true. Because according to Muslim theology, Jesus was not the Son of God. He was supernatural, but he wasn't the Son of God. According to Hindu theology, Jesus is not even there. So why should I just take Christian theology as the truth, over like voodoo theology, which Jesus doesn't even exist, and Satan doesn't even exist within voodoo theology? So which one do I say is true?
Well, the thing is, that's the only way I can prove God from a natural perspective, because God, in essence, is beyond human comprehension. So I can only speak from the revelation of the invisible God, which is Jesus Christ.
But the thing is, the problem that you're having is that you're simply assuming that this is true. We actually have to show that it is. How do we do that?
Well, it's not. Well, it's not an assumption. There is in history critics that say that Jesus isn't God from first century all the way to now, the 21st century.
Yeah, there are critics that said that Jesus was a god. Of course they are. I don't doubt that, right? But what I'm saying is that hold on. But what I'm trying to say is that yeah, there are critics who said that there wasn't. There are critics who said that he was. How do we show that the one that says that he was? How do we show that they're right? That's what I'm trying to ask. What do we actually do? Because yeah, I can accept that Jesus was a real person for the sake of the conversation. And me personally, I don't have any issue with that. I'm more on the fence of I'm not sure if it's true or not, but is looking at the preponderance of the evidence is that yeah, he was a real person. So let's go with that. Now, how do we show that him being a real person, meaning that he was the son of the almighty creator of the universe that died and came back in 3 days and impregnated himself with himself? What do we do to show that?
Because historically, he rose from the grave on the third day. He was seen by 500 people at one time.
But the thing is, there's no evidence of that, right? That's what Paul simply says. Paul simply says, hold on, wait. Paul simply says that 500 people saw him. We have no evidence that what Paul said is true.
Well, according to historical letters, people like Polycarp stated that he interacted with people that seen the Lord. Only thing we have in front of us is letters. We don't have a time machine.
Yeah, exactly. So we can't show what these people are saying is actually true, because there are people who said that they saw Emperor Nero rise from the dead, right?
Well, these people that claim that Jesus rose from the dead also was unalive for believing that.
Like who?
Like people like Polycarp, Clement of Rome, or the Apostle Paul, James, the
Paul
brother
never
of
met
Jesus.
Paul never met Jesus. But what I'm trying to say is that how do we actually show what these narratives are saying? Because Paul said that 500 people met him, right? But that only comes from Paul. We have no letters, no historical record of these 500 people, none at all. You said that Polycarp. So, but if I'm not mistaken, Polycarp was after Jesus too. So it's like, what do we now? One thing that you do have is James, the brother of Jesus. James, the brother of Jesus, did claim that he saw him after he resurrected, right? Are there natural explanations for what James could have saw? Because I don't doubt anyone's experience, right? The only thing that I doubt is what they attribute the experience to. So could there be a natural explanation for James seeing his brother after he died? Do you think so?
Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
Right.
When
So
Jesus, I like to. Yeah, I'm about to answer you. Yes. During Jesus' ministry, his brother James did not believe in him at all. He wasn't a believer of his brother Jesus at all in the Gospels. It was after Jesus' resurrection, he went to his brother James, and that's when James became a believer, and he became the bishop of the church in Israel. So he became a believer after the resurrection of Jesus Christ, and he was unalived by the high priest Ananus.
No, wasn't James part of it? I think you're mixing James with Doubting Thomas. Wasn't James part of his part of the ministry and as well? James believed
he wasn't. He wasn't.
The James.
Cool story. How do we know James existed?
Because Paul mentions him in his letter.
Hold on. Everybody pause. Everybody pause. All right. So yeah, I'll give you that part. James wasn't part of the ministry. I thought I was probably missing it with Doubting Thomas. All right. So James, what the question that I asked before, right, was could there be natural explanations to explain why James saw Jesus after his death? Could there be natural explanations for that? You said yes. All right. So if that's the case, there could be natural explanations for that. Now, how do we show that the natural explanation is wrong and the supernatural explanation is right? What do we do? Because you already said we don't have a time machine. We can't go back and verify this. Now, what do we do?
we go to people like Josephus. Josephus is a historian, and he speak of what happened to James. James got stoned because he refused to deny Jesus.
Jesus, yeah, no, I
So
get that part, but Josephus simply writing that doesn't mean that what James saw is true.
Host, can I ask you a question?
Give me
bro,
1
I can
second.
only just,
Uh,
I mean, bro, only thing we have in front of us is letters, bro. I like I said before, I don't have a time machine. I just accept the letters that's in front of me.
I understand that. What I'm saying is that why should we accept that?
Why not? Because like
No,
Justin Martin-
don't say why
Okay.
not. Why
Okay,
should we
I mean,
accept
that's
that? Because you don't accept the Hindu Vedas, so why should I accept the Christian claims?
I look up to people like Justin Martyr. Justin Martyr was a philosopher and very intelligent in the 2nd century, and he stated that Christianity is the true philosophy. And he also died. My bad. He was unalive for believing in the Christian faith.
Right, but real, just because they were deleted for believing in the Christian faith does not make the Christian faith real, because there are people who die for Islam. Doesn't make it true.
Well, the reason why they was unalive is because they saw the resurrection Christ. That's the reason why they was unalive.
All right. How do we know they actually did? How do we know they actually did? That's what I'm saying. They have what I'm saying is that you already said that there are natural explanations for why James could have saw his brother resurrect after he died. I've had dreams after my grandmother passed away, and I heard her in an audible voice talk to me, and I thought that my grandmother was still alive when I woke up the next day. And when I woke up the next day, my grandmother was still dead. So how do we know that didn't happen to Jesus? I mean, I'm sorry. How do we know that didn't happen to James?
Because James was an unbeliever. He did not believe in his son. He did not believe in Jesus when Jesus had his earthly ministry.
No, I understand that, bro.
I understand.
No, wait, hold on. Listen. I understand. I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is that just like I had a post-death delusion, right? When I dreamed of my grandmother still being alive, and the next day she wasn't alive. Right now, in our current time, we have the modern medicine and the modern knowledge to know that this was a dream. So how do we know that the same thing didn't happen to James, where when he saw his brother come back to life, that he wasn't simply deluded, and because he didn't have the knowledge to know what your brain does after grief, that he just mistaked it as a resurrection. Like what do we do to know, to say that, okay, Jesus definitely, matter of fact, why not this? How come God or Jesus simply doesn't give everyone the same experience that Paul got, the road to Damascus experience? Why not just do that?
He did. Matter of fact, at the tomb, when the stone was rolled away, there were Roman guards there, unbelievers, the one that crucified Christ.
How many Roman guards?
I don't know exactly how many, but I believe it was probably more than maybe 70, 80, I'm assuming.
That's not what the Bible says. The Bible says that there were 2 guards. Another story says that there was 1. So which one is it? Which one of those are true?
I don't know exactly how many, and I had to do my research, but okay, it was more than 1. Must say it was more than 1. And then they went to the Jewish leader and told them what happened, and the Jewish leader told them. All
right, so real. So the gospel that says that there was 1 guard, that one was wrong.
Just because it wasn't wrong. It wasn't
okay.
wrong.
So let me understand. So one gospel says 1 guard, one gospel says 2. One gospel says that there was 1 angel standing on top of the stone. The other gospel says that there was an angel inside the tomb. Another gospel says that there were 2 angels. Which one of those are right? Because these are all conflicting. Conflicting details. So which one will be right?
Both is right, because there is no contradiction. There can be 2 people.
So was the angel inside, or was the angel on top of the stone? Which one is it?
Both. There is no contradiction.
All right. How can that not be a contradiction? How can
literally a contradiction?
So real? How can an angel be outside and inside? Are you saying that the gospel that doesn't mention the angel inside is wrong, but also right, and the gospel that mentions the angel outside is wrong, but also right? That contradiction.
Yeah, I don't. Give me a second. Give me a second.
One time I ate a whole turkey by myself, and then the next day I told my brother I ate 2 whole turkeys by myself. Is that a contradiction?
Okay, let me explain. Let me explain. Okay, contradiction would be one say yes, one say no, but here.
Not necessarily. Those stories are conflicting.
Can I finish? Can I finish, please?
Go ahead.
Let me start all over. Contradiction would be one say yes, one say no, but here they just include different details. How many women? One gospel named Mary Magdalene, another adds other women, investigative view, no contradiction. One
That's
is
still
partial.
contradiction.
Let me finish, please. I'm almost done. One is partial, one is more complete. Mentioning one person doesn't mean only one was there. With the angel situation, how many angels? Another say 2 angels, one say 1 angel. If there are 2 there, is also one present, one writer focuses on the one speaking. Not a contradiction, just selective reporting.
Selective reporting is a contradiction.
No, it's not.
You just described the contradiction.
I have a question.
You did.
Lying by omission is also still lying.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's not
So
a
the fact that
contradiction.
the fact that the stories are not congruent with one another is in
Presents
fact,
a problem.
by definition, a contradiction.
It's not
just because you what you said is not the only way for something to be a contradiction. You're trying to move the goalpost.
No, listen, I can
so
say
you don't have to admit that the Bible in itself does have contradictions in it.
That's not true.
Yes, it does.
Listen.
It is. So,
Yes, it does.
So
I'm like, so is Jesus only God? Is Jesus the only Son of God?
let me say this, please. Let me say this.
No.
I can-
Answer my question. Is Jesus the only Son of God?
Jesus is the only begotten Son of God.
No, I didn't ask that. Is he the only Son?
Jesus is the only
I didn't ask
begotten
that.
Son.
Answer my question directly.
Which
Is
I'm
he the
answering.
only
No.
Son of God?
No, according to Scripture, Jesus is the only begotten.
I didn't ask that.
I'm just giving you what the Scripture says.
I'm not asking that. I'm asking you directly. Is he the only Son of God? Yes or no?
Jesus is the only begotten Son
Okay, I'm
of
gonna
God.
drop you because you don't know how to answer questions.
This kind of waste of time.
Bye.
Can I ask a question?
Wait,
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
1 second. Volcy, quick question.
Yeah, Daddy, go ahead, Daddy.
When you don't need to call me that. Satan or atheist works just fine.
All right, Zayden.
When Jesus Christ came back, did the graves also open up for the bodies of the Israelites that have fallen follow him into heaven?
That's a good question.
So I'm a Christian, so that's why I wanted to ask Volcy a question about. So I found it interesting that you think that James thought he saw Jesus, right?
Mhm.
I think that's actually a pretty cool argument to pick out James, because he was the brother of Christ. You're probably familiar with the data that shows that family members grieving a loved one will see them in hallucinations.
Mhm.
So that's probably what you're picking at. But why don't you just say that, like, what's the evidence that James saw him? The same evidence that James saw him is the same evidence we have that Peter saw him, or that Paul saw him, right?
So the evidence is simply that they claimed it. Hold on, we're waiting for Jose to come back. All right, guys. Let me go ahead and do a couple of quick shout outs. Yeah, shout out to everybody who's here on the panel right now, speaking. I was able to go ahead and figure out how to get everybody up. Jose, give me a second. All right, y'all. So shout out if you're watching me from the Volcy Thoughts channel. I appreciate you there. Appreciate you watching me from the Volcy Thoughts channel. You guys are amazing and awesome. Pump those numbers up. Resist, I appreciate you, Resist, for the $1.99 super chat. Resist is always here saying that he likes it, and I appreciate y'all. All right, so shout out to my mods, Weed, to hear all y'all are amazing. If you're watching me over on the Deconstruction Junction,
Okay, I see how we did.
yeah. Yeah, of course, Kay, you get a shout out. All right, so everyone who's watching me over on the Deconstruction Junction, I appreciate you there as well. And if you're watching me over on the Black Atheist Coalition, I appreciate you there as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get back to the conversation. So, J Rose, you saying that the evidence that they saw them is them claiming that they saw them?
Well, yeah, I think they claimed that they saw Jesus resurrected. I think Peter claimed it. I think James claimed it. I think Paul claimed it. I think the disciples claimed it. We can keep the 500 out of it, right? We don't know. We can just say we don't know. Paul probably got that from somewhere. We don't know if that's actually true, but I think those people claimed it. And you like what you said, which is an argument I use. You said, I saw my grandma, right? It was your grandma, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said you saw your grandma.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, the next day you woke up and you knew she wasn't resurrected. You knew she wasn't alive.
Mm-hmm.
So do hallucinations really have good explanatory power when it comes to explaining why these people thought Jesus resurrected?
Yes,
That's
because
what they're claiming.
yes, because at the end of the day, these are superstitious cultures, right? They are, like, for example, I live in the United States. So when I say that, I saw somebody die and come back or whatever, it's because I live within a culture, even though it's a religious culture, is not necessarily superstitious. We always doubt when people say they see ghosts and stuff like that, at least for the most part, right? We still doubt the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, seeing Elvis, et cetera, et cetera. These things still carry doubt, right? But over in Haiti, if I were to say that, they would have told me that the spirit of my grandmother is still somewhere in the air, and they would have done a whole ritual in order to get the spirit out. You see what I'm saying? So over here, living over here, we're not as superstitious as living over there. You could do the same thing with Nigeria. Over in Nigeria, I don't know if you ever heard about this story of like a boat capsized, and they were able to go over there and to retrieve the bodies, and they found that one person was actually alive. There's a natural explanation for how he survived, but the people over in Nigeria thought that he ate the other people and that he was a zombie, right? Even though there's a natural explanation for it. So it depends on your society. So them saying that, for James' brother Jesus saying that I saw my brother resurrected, he lives in a superstitious society. So everyone else will just probably just believe his superstition.
Yeah. So, okay. I mean, that I would feel like that is, it is a different society, different whatever. I do agree with that. But are we not speculating a little bit too much there, saying that, the society is so different that everything we know about human psychology, which is that if you have a hallucination of a deceased person, you're not going to think they're resurrected for real, right? It goes against everything we know. But it's not even just James, it's Peter, it's what about those other people that are saying it too?
What did Peter saw that he said that he saw Jesus resurrected?
Well, the same evidence we have that James saw Jesus resurrected is the same evidence we have Peter saw.
Simply saying that they said that that they saw it, that they said so. But sure, but we don't know if they're mistaken.
Yeah, they could be mistaken, but are we going to say that there is like social contagion going on? Like, are we talking about many hallucinations? I know Ko is here and he says minimal witnesses, like a few people had hallucinations and then the rest had experiences because they were primed to believe in it or something.
Correct.
Is that something?
That could be the case as well.
Okay, and then what about this whole notion of the empty tomb? You don't believe that?
We don't even know if Jesus was actually buried in the tomb. We only get that from the Bible. We don't know if that part is true either, because around that time, they typically the Romans typically threw their crucifixion people into mass graves, right? There were times where the tomb, they will put them in tombs according to like certain traditions. But this time, why should we believe that's exactly what happened? The only thing that we have is the claim of Joseph of Arimathea, but like we don't even know if Arimathea was an actual place. Some historians say that it wasn't, so we even know if that character is true or not either. So what exactly do we do to show that Jesus was actually buried in the tomb and then the tomb was empty? And even if we even show that, what other explanations could there be?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I don't have a robust case for the empty tomb, to be honest. I have to revisit them. From what I remember, there are some scholars that have a pretty strong case for it, like Dale Ellison. I don't know if you know who Dale Ellison is, but What I do remember is that like Josephus mentions that people who were crucified could be buried in tombs.
Yeah, no, I'm not down. That's something that could happen. We're just asking, how do we know that happened to Jesus at that time? Because there were times where the Romans did allow that under certain conditions, but how do we know that was with Jesus?
Right.
We don't really have anything outside of that. But
no, that's fair enough.
I got you. All right. So what's up, y'all? Welcome to the stage. Satan, I appreciate you being here. Ruda, I appreciate you being. I'm not even sure I said your name right. Is it Rudra? I'm the one with the penguin as a profile pic. I'm not sure how to say that.
Rudra, yeah. Or just Rod.
Gotcha. All right, Rod. I appreciate you. Cherry, how's it going? I appreciate you being here. I know Coco, Kay, Satan, and Cherry are my friendlies. Theology, are you at least 18? And did you want to talk about the prompt? Did you want to give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yes, I know that you all are having a discussion about the apostles. I just want to ask a couple of questions.
Gotcha. Give me 1 second. Rudra, how's it going, Rudra? Are you a friendly of mine, or did you want to give me a good reason to believe in a God?
I kind of wanted to listen in, but I mean, really, to me, I'm agnostic, so I could make an argument for either way.
Okay, yeah, cool. No, not a problem.
Let's go.
How's it going, Coco? Now, after roster, I think was theology. All right, theology. How's it going? You're next up on the roster. I got to get this all cleaned up. All right, theology. You're up next on the roster. Do you think you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yes, I think so, because I have been gradually learning about the three major religions of the world. You know, the Islamic faith and Christian and Judaism. And I have a question. What are your thoughts on the golden ratio?
The what?
The golden ratio.
I have no idea what that is, bro.
Oh, if you've ever seen a square and like the like vortex going into it, that's the golden ratio.
Are you talking about the golden ratio, like that determines people's attractiveness?
No, it's a geometry thing.
Oh,
okay, cool. But what about it?
Okay. No matter, it's a form of a Fibonacci sequencing mathematically, where we have these numbers 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, and so forth. And any number that follows that sequence of Fibonacci, dividing the number that follows by the previous one, it'll give you a 1.6, right? So after studying several scientific articles about the golden ratio, it turns out that this number is very divine in nature. We see it all around. And what has really kind of like put me into, it has boggled me per se, right? I have seen that that the measurements from the North Pole to Arabia, where Abraham did put a temple for God.
All right. Hold on. We're getting so off track.
No.
So yeah, we have the golden ratio, but so what? What does it actually show? All it is just geometry. Yeah. So like, and within there's a relationship within all it shows is a mathematical relationship of patterns. That's all it really shows. How do we show that this is something that's divine? How do we, because it doesn't show anything supernatural, right? We made up rules of mathematics, and this is what we have. What do we do with that? Like, how do we prove that this actually shows something divine?
Okay, so 4,000 years ago, they did not know very much of geometrical concepts. This is 5,000 years ago. Very basic geometry. Nobody measured these distances from the North Pole to this point in Arabia, and from there to the South Pole. And what's phenomenal is when you divide that distance from the North Pole to this area, and you divide it by the distance from Arabian Point to the South Pole, it gives you the golden ratio, 1.618. If you want to consider it to be a coincidence.
All right, you said measuring from the North Pole to the South Pole gives us a golden ratio?
No, from the North Pole to the area of Mecca. I'm not a Muslim, okay, just to clear that out. from the North Pole to Mecca, you measure that distance, you divide that distance from Mecca to the South Pole, and it gives you exactly the 1.618 golden ratio. Now, is
Okay,
that
so I went ahead and
is that
just I went ahead and
coincidence?
just I went ahead and just Google this, and it says that that entire claim is actually very, very much disputed. It's considered
Okay.
numerology and pseudoscience, and it's based on selective data.
Selective data.
And now,
as it-
and not only that, it's arbitrary because that same golden ratio can be found anywhere on the planet. You can do the same exact thing to Miami. So is Miami the holy city? We should all go down to Miami and go to the clubs, y'all, because it's the golden city. Like, what is it showing? This is stupid.
Oh, okay. So, let's stay focused on the golden ratio then. Okay, and
Okay,
and
this is what I'm trying to get right.
Yeah,
What is the
go
big
ahead.
deal about the golden ratio? Because all it does is show a mathematical pattern, and since we made up math, patterns are going to happen all the time. So it doesn't really show that something supernatural. Are you saying that math in of itself is supernatural? And if you're claiming that, how do we show that to be true?
No, because mathematics and the laws of physics were not invented by the scientific community. These are concepts that were discovered. We never invented math. We only discovered it.
I would
All right,
disagree.
Yeah, I would say that it's actually both. Like we invent
Both.
certain rules, and then we had certain labels. We invented certain rules, and then we discovered what those rules led to, right? But like, are you saying that the number one wasn't made up by humans? We got the number one from some sort of supernatural source, and the number one exists outside of space and time. Like, how do we discover the number one?
Well, there's mathematical logic. You have to have a starting point, wouldn't you?
Right, and that's why the number 0 was so controversial in the Indus Valley civilization, because how can a number 0 actually? You know, a lot of ancient cultures didn't have the number 0 until like the Indus Valley. I think the Aztecs had it.
Right.
So that was the starting point for them, but for everywhere else, that wasn't a starting point. One was a starting point, which kind of proves that we invent these things and then discover where they lead to.
Okay, so it is a discovery. So you can invent, like, again, you can invent a car, but you cannot invent physics. It can only be discovered.
Right, physics.
logic
We
is
can only describe what happened in the physics is a description
Yeah.
of what we see out there in the universe. Right.
Right.
So we
Okay.
didn't invent the rules of physics. We just kind of wrote them down. Right.
Okay.
All right. So are you saying that physics, which was kind of just a consequence of quantum mechanics, are you saying that was deliberately created by some outside source? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, my logic tells me that there's got to be a creator that puts out all these laws of physics. And
Okay, why?
there's no denying for. Well, because that is his creation, and his creation.
That's
was
circular though,
put
bro.
into-
That's circular. You just said that physics had to be created by something, and when I asked you why, you said because it's their creation. That's kind of circular. You didn't actually show that the creator actually exists.
Okay. And again, let's look at the Christian community. Some Christians believe in a triune God, right? The Trinity, would you say?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if we look at the laws of if we look at quantum mechanics, it is so strange that within the proton we have three quarks that are in one. They're distant from each other. They're separate from each other in their spin, but still it's a triad. So isn't that a coincidence that these Christians believe in a triune God? And again, I'm not Christian. I'm just exploring the religions of the world.
Yeah. It's
So
a
isn't that
coincidence.
Oh, it's a coincidence.
Yes, it's a coincidence.
The
So you
know,
don't
if you-
think
that Kronos had 3 sons.
If you study the religions of the world, you should know how frequent worshiping in threes are.
Yeah, in the voodoo religion, for example, during the Haitian Revolution, they prayed to Urzuli, they prayed to Shango, and they prayed to Oshun. That was also a trinity. Are you saying that voodoo is a true religion now because of that?
No, what I'm saying is that we ourselves as humans, our brains, we tried to create a triad of some sort, but
Yeah,
we
but so
never
what?
knew about this. Yeah, we never knew about this triad in quantum physics
Right,
or
but
in other religions.
theology. So what? So what? We try to
So
create
there's that.
trinities everywhere. So what?
No. So there's a triad that must have some founded truth.
There's no reason to
Everybody
believe that, bro. There's no reason to believe that. All right,
in
I've been talking for a while. I'm
okay,
gonna go ahead and let everybody else talk. Coco
all right,
or
go ahead.
Kay or Rudra or Cherry, if y'all want to go ahead and get in on this, y'all can go ahead. Coco, I know you had a lot to
So,
say. Go ahead, Coco.
yeah, so when it comes to like math, the laws of physics, the laws of logic, like the actual words that we use to describe like some kind of like phenomenon about the world, that's made by humans. Of course, there's going to be like something like objective, or I mean, like that's going to be my presupposition. Of course, there might be like some like objective like reality outside of us, but math is going to be like a language system that we're using to like, it's going to be a tool we use to go throughout the world. The laws of logic, the words laws of logic is going to be a tool we use to describe the world. And then I guess like the words that we use for the laws of physics are going to be words that we created to describe some kind of like objective reality. But I mean, like that's not really showing like divinity. And I disagree. Like there doesn't need to be like some kind of like metaphysical minds that created everything. It could be a source. It could be naturalistic. You haven't really demonstrated that. And then the numbers things with like the golden ratio and like the Trinity, all those things are arbitrary, just human languages to describe like our reality, and they could be used in multiple ways to point to multiple different things. So I don't really see like any arguments here for God existing.
Well, here's the argument, guy. Remember when I talked to you about the metaphysical?
Hey, Judd, give me a second. Judd. All right, guys, I want to go ahead and give a quick shout out. Y'all, I think I'm gonna go ahead and put up a Discord link where you can actually argue on the panel as well. I think we're gonna put that up in a second, but before I do that, shout out to you if you're watching me from the Volcy Thoughts channel. Again, I appreciate y'all from watching me there. Y'all are amazing over there. Again, I'm gonna put in the link into the chat where you can call in and speak, and maybe this time you'll be able to hear everybody. I appreciate y'all there for watching me there. Over on the Deconstruction Junction, shout out to y'all there. Big W on those numbers, keep pumping those up. I will be here for another maybe hour and a half, so keep going ahead and keep liking the screen and keep pushing it up. I appreciate you. If you're watching me over on the Black Atheist Coalition, again, I'm going to go ahead and put something into the chat so you can go ahead and call in and speak with me there. It will be on it would be a Discord link. So with that Discord link, there will be a queue, and we will call and we will talk. And yeah, I appreciate y'all for being here. And if you're watching me over on Twitch, I appreciate you watching me over on Twitch. You are amazing. Thank you so much. Let's grow to Twitch. All right, we're gonna get to we have theology, now we have Judd. Real, I already know what your position is. Oh, Satan, you gotta go. Not a problem, bro. I appreciate you. I'm actually waiting for Lena, because she was in the chat. I think she wants to come up. I'm actually waiting for Lena to come up. Zoe, yeah. Shango and Oshun, they're more within Ifa, but they also exist in Voodoo. They also exist too. They're just not as major as they do over in the others. But I know they exist there. I know they're more Ifa than they are Voodoo, but they're not as major, but they do exist in it as far as I've seen. But you can go ahead and correct me if that's the case. All right, Judd, we're gonna get back to you. In Real, I know your position already, but we're gonna get back to Judd. Judd, how's it going now? Are you at least 18? And do you think you give us a good reason to believe in a God? Judd, pause for me. I'm sorry about that. Zoe, clear up what I was trying to say, or correct me.
So, to make it quick, basically, you have like Ogu and Ogun, right? Basically, the Africans, the name of the spirits changed when they went to Haiti. So Ogun went to Ogu Farai. You feel me?
Oh, okay, I got you.
So it's the same spirit, but the offerings and stuff, they gave that spirit and name changed due to availability of resources.
Gotcha. And did the same thing happen with Shango? Because I know he's not as prominent in Voodoo as he is in Ifa, but he's there. Yeah, but he's not as prominent, right?
They have that spirit. They just don't call him Shango.
Oh, okay.
Just like how if you go to like Africa, they have like Yemaya, but if you go to Haitian Voodoo, they have like La Siren.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, there we go. I just don't know the names. I know the main name. What is Shango called in Voodoo? What's his name there?
Still like a Ogu. That's like a Agau. That's like a warrior like type like spirit.
Okay, so he got amalgamated with Ogun then.
Yeah, because remember, there's not like in Haitian Voodoo, like there's not one Ogu. It's like pantheons. So
There's a
you have
pantheon of
different-
Ogun. Gotcha.
There's different meanings, like different variations of or personalities of spirits. So you have like Ezeli Mapian, Ezeli Balanjo, Ezeli Danto, Ezeli Fuada. Like it's different, a bunch of different spirits under that umbrella term.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Hey, I appreciate that. I'll learn more. Go ahead and DM me more of that. All right, because I appreciate it. But if you don't mind, I'm gonna drop you for a little bit just so I can leave space for another believer. All right.
All right, say no more.
No problem. Hey, I appreciate you, Zo.
No problem.
All right, guys, I'm waiting for another believer. There is an open box for a believer. I don't want theology and Judd and Real to be the. Actually, no, we're kind of even out. I'll open the box for another believer though. We're kind of evened out at the moment.
Yeah.
All right.
We
Xenochronic.
do need to have
I
it
think I
more
missed it.
evened out.
Yeah, not a problem. Cherry hasn't spoken yet, so Cherry, I'm gonna go ahead and get to you. Just give me a second.
Yeah. Hey,
All right.
sis.
All right, Jude. What do you think that good reason is to believe in a God?
Yeah, I mean, okay, good. So basically, a God, I'll say the God, right? I mean, everyone probably will say that, right? But anyways, the reason to believe it is to know that we live in a conscious-based reality. Let me ask you guys all the question panel. I mean, I messed up the words, arrangement, syntax, including the host, right? Is there only matter and energy in the universe?
Is there only matter and energy in the universe?
Yeah.
Could I answer?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I've been talking for a while. You can go ahead and answer. Y'all can go ahead and answer. Go ahead. Do y'all thing.
I'll say yes, but there's also space.
But here's the thing: matter and energy can be traced and it is known to exist. Your God is not known to exist, so that's not a good reason to believe in God, because it's given that you're saying that because
you did give me a little bit of blink action there, but I'm actually wondering about the space thing because I'm actually wondering about the information. So if information exists in this reality, then how could there only be matter and energy in space?
Bro, what?
Yeah, I don't understand what you mean at all.
Yeah, what are you talking
information just be
about?
like how we perceive the matter, energy, and space?
But you wouldn't think it's a two-way thing. For instance, someone telling you something that's an arrangement of words, and it's a conveyance of it's like a sequence, it's a thought, it's a code. You know?
What?
What are you talking about?
I mean,
I'm talking about.
I
I'm
don't
talking
think
about
that's
thoughts and
wrong.
consciousness in itself.
But
for instance, ontology, consciousness is the prerequisite to ontology. Like that's what that is, because I'm able to interpret that through my conscious lens, or not lens, but consciousness. Period.
Can you hear me?
Even though we
no.
can't really define
Well,
what consciousness is.
I won't disagree that yes, you need a mind for ontology, but ontology is just a study of existence. I think, can exist, or things can exist without a mind.
Wait, hold on. Well, yeah, I would not
That's
grant
impossible.
that.
How is that the case when we get DNA, sequential, meticulous, recurring information?
Hey, y'all, can
you
y'all
don't think
pause
it's
me
a
real quick?
two-way
Can I pause me real quick? Hey, resist. Can you say mic check real quick for me in the Discord?
Mic check.
Did y'all hear that?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, cool. Appreciate that. Resist. All right, so we'll be able to get guests from the Discord. I'm gonna go ahead and put the link right now. So if anyone wants to call in, I'm gonna put the Discord link in the chat, and y'all can go ahead and call in. All right. My bad. Whoever I interrupted, was that Rudra? Go ahead and finish what you were saying. My bad, bro.
It was Jadensky. You interrupted Jadensky, actually.
Oh, sorry,
you called me
Judd. Go ahead.
for the past 3 minutes. It's fine. No, yeah. So the point is, it's not a one-way street. It's a two-way street when you're conveying something, especially when we're talking about information, right? It's the arrangement of, it's a conveyance and arrangement of things, right? So, like, for instance, when I say a reality is conscious based, the only thing that fits the criterion that would be able to differentiate and distinguish between states and make a favorable reality, and so, by the way, select states, and say, oh, this one kind of fits on top of this one. This makes sense. Is consciousness, right? Because that is using your thoughts, your mind, your awareness capability to create something in that type of way, right? Or any way. You're arranging things, you're putting things together in a favorable way.
Wait, hold on.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
are you
intelligent agency.
Are you an idealist?
Oh no, I'm a creationist.
But I think what he's really asking is, do you think the words, do you think they have equal ontological value in meaning to matter and energy? Like, do you think the words you're saying are just as real as things?
I would say more so. I would say more so energy, like intelligent agency, would be more so like linked to energy, but not like necessarily not like directly matter. Like it's just what you see, but it's a product of intelligence, like a stream of consciousness, for instance. That's the best way to put it.
Okay, well, I guess I should say, do you think words have an objective meaning?
Yeah. Are we going to do semantics though?
Okay, this is where you and I disagree though, because unfortunately language changes a lot for me to call it objective.
Yeah, that and I agree with that because words are descriptive. They mean kind of whatever we make them to mean. Like the word dumb. Dumb didn't always mean like a person is unintelligent or can't reason. Dumb used to mean a person who can't speak, and that turned into mute. And now even saying someone is mute is considered like ableist. We don't say that anymore, right? So we just call them nonverbal. But people who are nonverbal autistic back in the day were called dumb, but we don't use that anymore because language changes, right?
Yeah, I don't see how this is relevant to my arguments,
Or okay, so like the thing I was gonna ask about your argument is that like I think like you're holding the presupposition that like nothing would exist without like some form of consciousness.
Some
right?
form define consciousness as it is. We can't define energy as it is, but yes, go ahead.
Okay, I mean, like I would just hold like a different presupposition. I think if there were no human minds, that something would exist. We'd still have rocks and planets and grass and energy and like matter and energy.
Right. All that would exist without human minds. It's just the descriptions of it like wouldn't exist because we made that up.
Yeah, but the pre-qualifier that he put there was humans. I'm saying a supernatural, obviously, like the creator of everything in existence. Like,
gotcha. How do we get to that? How do we get that the supernatural is an actual real thing? How do we get to that?
In the stream of so it starts with the first law of thermodynamics. So like energy cannot be created nor destroyed, right? So that leaves us with two options. Well, either way, we still deal with the heat death. I was talking to you about that before, right? So the heat death is the second law of the natural law, right? So in the natural world, we have these natural laws, but let's get to this, right? It means if it can't be created or destroyed, it means it was always here, or it came from somewhere that could bring it into existence. It would exist external from that system. You can't plug an extension cord into itself, to power itself. It needs to be, the energy source needs to be external, right? Okay, that's a point in itself, but we'll leave that alone for a second. So let's go to the other one. It was always here. Okay, heat death. Okay, that's solved. It couldn't have always existed, so it came from somewhere else that could create it. That is by definition supernatural, because it's above and beyond the natural world or things and natural laws.
But Judd, you realize that energy is simply a property of a system. It's not a thing unto itself.
It depends on how you define it. If you're using scientific terminology, there's a way to define chaos, but they don't have the systems to determine exactly what's happening there.
So I'm defining it as with the scientific definition, the capacity to do work, which is a property of a system.
That's not a full-on like descriptive like that. It's like that doesn't do it justice. For instance, like you could say, what is a human? Oh, it breathes. That's what it does, like a verb. But you're not saying like, oh, it has arms, this and that. Like it's not sufficient. It's not a sufficient definition.
So you're saying that energy, which is the ability or the capacity to do work, which is basically the ability to move things or change matter. You're saying that that's not a sufficient definition because again, that's simply the property. As simply, if we define it as that, That would just be a property of something, a property of a system. It's not a thing unto itself. But you're saying that that's not a sufficient definition because it has to be a thing unto itself. Why?
No, yeah, well, exactly. It would have to, because when you have to define it from like it's
But why?
It's prime sense, like
Right. I'm saying
okay,
is,
for
but
instance,
why? Why does energy? How do we show that energy is a thing unto itself and not a property of a system? How do we show that?
well, so, yeah, I mean, I have a different definition for energy, but like it would fit into my whole worldview, which like
Correct. But the thing is that definition, how do we actually what do we do to justify that definition? Because the only thing that we know about energy is that it's not a thing unto itself. It's just the capacity to do work, a property of a system. Your definition is something different. Cool. That's all good and well. I'm accepting for you right now. That's your definition. Now, what do we do to show that how do we verify that now? What do we do?
Because when we put it's only logical, it's like deductive reasoning, for instance. Like people, like all physicists could say, like we have gravity and we have time, like, or we have space-time that basically creates like the structure and holds everything together like a waterbed. And like basically there'd be energy flowing within that to keep it and hold its structure. You got space, you have time, you have gravity, right? But we need a energetic primary mover in order for everything to actually be put into motion, and like form, So it would mean that
What's the argument for
we have the
that?
ability to do work. Well, it goes back to the whole, like, you can't plug like a extension cord into itself and expect something. And energy can't power a system and also be part of that system in plain terms. So you need something that is external from that system in order to.
Wait, what's the argument for that?
Make
Wait,
do. I
agree.
Energy can't
with that.
power a system and not be a part of the system.
I mean, are we like, I think that's something that the audience could like think over and like lean more credence. I understand, like,
yeah, right. So Judd, I get you right. Judd, I get you right.
But
a power cable plugging into itself is not going to do anything. I get that, right? You need something external to bring it power. I get that part. What I'm trying to say is that our definition of energy as of right now, the scientific definition, is simply the capacity to move things, right? The capacity to change matter, et cetera, et cetera. That's our definition, a property of a system. That's really what it is. Like, for example, blue is a label that we give for the electromagnetic spectrum, the way that light moves into our eyes. We label that as blue. Blue is not a thing unto itself. It's just a property. It's a label that we give to a property. What you're trying to say is that energy is a thing unto itself. And I'm asking you, what do we do to show that to be true? How do we get there?
No, I'm not saying energy is a thing unto itself, because obviously you can conserve energy in batteries, but maybe it will help if I say my definition.
Okay.
I'm still working on it, but it is the applicational preset of conscious willfulness or conscious intent. So like so when I was talking about worldview, I'm talking about like things exist within a modality of itself. Like a modality of, I'm not sure if everyone knows this, is like water, like it's liquid, ice, and steam. So basically there's preset conditions for how things would appear, but that all comes through like this stream of consciousness, and it's the way that they're formed together in using intelligent, intentful awareness. That's the whole thing that we're talking about when we're talking about arranging things and putting things together. So we have a layer that one is basically painting on the canvas with, but he also creates that layer.
All right. I'm sorry, bro. I didn't understand any of that. Did anyone understand what that means? Because I can't even respond because I didn't understand what you're saying at all.
It's fine. You don't need to interpret it right now. the best thing that you could do right now at this point is compare it with the alternative version of how we view like subatomic particles or even the atom, for instance. We have something that is a particle and a wave at the same time. How does that happen? Can you pull a wave out of the ocean? That's a noun and a verb. It doesn't make any sense. So you need something that doesn't break PNC, law of non-contradiction. The best thing you could do is look at the vacuum chamber, take all the air out of it, see that there's something still waving. So if there's something in the background still waving,
Judd,
what's here in front of
Judd, bro, are you hearing me?
Yeah. I just want you to let me finish my sentence. That's it.
No. When I interrupt, you stop. So there was an issue that I had an issue with what you said, right? Because you said subatomic particles, or at least like light, like photons, behaving like both a particle and a wave is a contradiction. Not necessarily though, because it exists. So we know that there are subatomic particles that can exist as both a wave and a particle.
Circular reasoning.
How's that circular reasoning?
Because it's your interpretation is wrong, and you're saying it exists, so it exists. Everyone else caught that. You
What? That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
JD, don't you think you're
Judge?
Everyone else.
All right, pause. No,
I mean,
Judd,
saying that.
pause. Judd, you didn't understand what I said. Because your claim was something existing as a particle and a wave is a contradiction. Obviously, that's not true because they are photons that exist. Photons exist as a wave and a particle at the same time. We may not understand why it does that, but it does. So that's not a contradiction. So when you so what I'm trying to get to is that where are we? I'm actually very confused on where are we going with this? How does any of this show that a God exists?
Something consciousness.
I think I'm tracking what he's saying pretty simply.
I'm not tracking what he's trying to say at all. So hold on, give me a second. Relic, are you at least 18, and do you think you can give us a good reason to believe in a God?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Relic, what exactly is he trying to say here? Because I don't see how any of this leads us to a God.
I think what he was starting with was like energy. Like it seemed like he was saying cause and effect at the very first beginning. It seems like he was saying like
it's linked to intelligence.
And then he was saying everything that does exist, there has to be a prime mover or a first mover, and the first mover has to have a mind, something along that line.
All right. So when this entire prime mover thing, does it have will, agency, wants, needs, anything like that?
Yeah, he wants to create, and he made everyone in his image to create.
All right, great. So how do we know? Okay, great. So this prime mover, how do we know? How do you differentiate between it having a conscious will and a natural process that we simply don't understand yet? What do we do to determine one over the Judd? I'm gonna need you to chill for a second. All right. I'm sorry if the middle of my sentence interrupted the beginning of yours.
I remember.
So, Jesus Christ, bro. All right, now let's get back to the to the conversation. So, you said that this prime mover has a will, has agency. However, the prime mover, whatever we're going to call it, is it possible that it's also a natural explanation that our understanding of physics simply doesn't explain yet? Meaning a natural process that we can't explain yet due to our current way in our being, the way that we understand physics. Until a new forms of physics come up, we simply can't understand that natural process. How did you decide that it was a supernatural willed process over a natural process that we don't understand? What did you do to determine one over the other?
Of the first and second law of thermodynamics, it was either always here, heat, death, nope, or it came from somewhere else that could have it be here in the way that it is, with it being, linked to like conscious awareness and arrangement and, the whole consciousness.
Hey, Judd, let me ask you a question. Judd. Have you been to the end of the universe yet?
Oh, but I'm just using logical deduction.
I'm just asking you yes or no. Have you been to the end of the universe yet?
Hey, I already answered you, right?
Judd, I'm asking you, just say yes or no, bro.
I already said no.
Okay, so no. All right, so hold on, Judd. I just need to know. I don't need any explanation. Just no. All right, so you said, hey, Judd, come on, bro. Judd, if we're gonna have a conversation, don't fight for the mic. Let's have a conversation, and don't do all this snarky shit about me getting upset. I'm getting annoyed because I'm trying to speak about what my position is, and you just want to interrupt. So you need to learn how to calm your mic down and shut up for a second. You can do that for me, correct? Great. Thank you so much. So great. Thank you so much. All right. So you haven't been to the end of the universe yet. So heat death is only one way that physicists believe that the universe could end. They also think that it could be a big bounce or a big rip. They're not sure yet because, of course, we haven't been to the end of the universe, so we don't know. So just because your entire argument hinges only on that explanation, but what if heat death is wrong? Then what? What if hold on, Judd. What if Big Bounce is the one that's correct? If Big Bounce is correct, then that means energy always existed, doesn't it?
We're not talking about your internet history, bro. Like we're talking about like logical arguments and like logical.
All right. So I already told him to stop the snarky shit, but he kept on continuing. All right, Relic. So heat death is only one explanation for the end of the universe. But that's not that we don't know that one is necessarily true. How about if Big Bounce is true? If Big Bounce is true, then that would mean that energy always existed, then, right?
I don't even know that I'm not compatible with his argument. I was just restating his argument.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So what do you think is the good reason to believe in a God?
The good reasons to believe in a God. I think that what's a good one? I would say probably the whole fine-tuning argument for God.
All right, cool. So
with it.
all right, so why do you think the fine-tuning makes our universe intentional? Because all it shows is that this is how our laws of physics works, and that's basically it. It doesn't really show anything else.
Well, I'll just say this actually. Have you seen or heard of like maybe like I don't know, like an animal or like a chemical or non-life or something create like a painting, for example?
No, but all right. So
No,
I've heard of animals creating paintings. Yeah, gorillas.
Okay, so gorillas. Okay, that's fine. So I was saying is that like under your view, I'd suppose you would say like chemicals created or like cause existence or something along that line.
When you say existence, are you talking about like existence on Earth?
Yeah.
Yeah. From what we're seeing, life is essentially probably an emergent property, like a consequence of physics and chemistry, basically.
Okay, and derived from chemicals, right?
Yeah, chemicals, non-living materials, like, I guess I'll call them nutrients, but it's not necessarily nutrients, but like basically the materials from the a consequence of chemistry. Correct. Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm sorry, y'all. Give me 1 second. All right, y'all. We're at 11K likes right now. Let's get to 15K. If we don't get to 15K within the next 10 minutes, Cherry will turn off the comments. All right. Nate, I've invited you up because you said you'll come up about 10 minutes ago. You told me that you would come up. So I sent you the invite for you to come up and we can keep on talking. There's a space open for Nate right now. So because there's a space open for Nate right now, we're gonna go ahead and wait for him to come up. I'm gonna give him about 15 minutes just in case he's busy or anything like that. If Nate can't come up, we'll move on to the next person. Go ahead and tap screen, y'all. Let's get to 15K likes. If we do not get to 15K likes, Cherry will turn off the comments, and she is good for that. She has a quick trigger finger. Before we continue, Relic, Seer, are you at least 18? And do you think you give us a good reason to believe in a God?
Yeah.
Cool. Pause me real quick. We'll get to you. We'll talk to Relic at the moment. All right, Relic. So you're saying, damn, where did I leave off at? I leave off at life on Earth being a consequence of physics and chemistry. That's essentially where we're at right now, right? Could it be another reason? Sure, it could be, but we're still gathering evidence. Origin of life research is still an ongoing field. Now, but you think that it's necessarily supernatural, or what do you think?
I've just said, well, what I was talking about the whole painting thing, and like the whole creation thing. I think cause and effect is a great example to start off with. So when we look at like a painting or someone that makes a painting, maybe like the Mona Lisa, for example, a human made the painting. Okay, humans are inherently unique, right? And I would argue that like obviously a chemical isn't inherently unique, at least comparative to a human. And so when we look at them, we compare one to the other. I come to the conclusion that, you know, there's something about, you know, a human that they're able to do these things. And then I also look at the thing behind that would cause humans into existence. So if a chemical causes a human into existence, but chemicals can't do the things that humans can do, that seems to be a really big issue for me, because it just doesn't make sense.
It's kind of a Texas sharpshooter fallacy, isn't it?
I'm not sure what that is.
Okay, so you're saying that because the modern chemicals that we see today, because they can't do what humans do, therefore we're not a consequence of chemistry and physics. That's kind of silly, bro. Because number one, humans do have chemicals inside of us, don't we?
We have chemicals inside of us?
Yeah. What do you think, Sarah?
Okay.
Like, what do you think oxytocin is? Like, we have you know, our brain it produces chemistry. Our brain, our stomach acid is chemistry, right?
Yeah.
So humans are basically sacks of carbon and chemistry, essentially, that came together and emerged for life. Now, can we actually replicate this? Not at the moment, right? We can't replicate it. But what I'm trying to say is that just because we can't replicate what we're doing with the chemicals that already exist, are you saying that life had to be supernatural?
I'm not even saying that, since we can't. Like, I think, yeah, chemicals can't I don't think we'll be able to replicate something like that outside of a human. I don't think that would ever occur.
Can I ask Relic two clarifying questions real quick? Relic, do you believe in like an intelligent design?
Yeah.
Okay, and do you think that humans are animals?
Yeah.
Okay, so
you don't believe that? Sorry, I just want to ask because I'm just trying to make sense of what he's saying. You think that humans have higher intelligence than other animals on Earth?
Humans have higher intelligence. Yeah, they have the highest intelligence, matter of fact.
You think humans have the highest intelligence on Earth?
Yes, ma'am.
That's why I asked you my first question, do you believe in intelligent design? And you said no.
I didn't say that.
He said he does. He believes in intelligent design. But
you do? Okay.
Right, let me ask you a question. What's intelligent about wisdom teeth?
I can tell you what's unique about wisdom teeth. I don't know about intelligent, because they don't possess intelligence.
All right, great. But you said that we're intelligently designed. So what's up with wisdom teeth?
I told you that we are the highest intelligence. Yeah, we have the highest rationality.
No. You said you believe in intelligent design. Why do we have wisdom teeth? Because that's not very intelligent to put into your design.
Wisdom teeth actually can provide a pretty large amount of benefits and also have negatives to them. But okay.
How is that?
That matters,
so something that has negatives wasn't intelligently designed into us. Why would the designer give us something that has negatives?
Everything can have negatives to it. I don't get what's happening here.
Even the creator can have negatives?
No, I'm saying
no. Let's not go down that path. I want him to actually answer this question. Why would he design this with something negative?
Why would he design us for something negative? That you're presupposing that there's something negative.
We don't need wisdom teeth, bro. Matter of fact, I'm not presupposing that at all. You actually are already admitted that wisdom teeth can have positive and negatives. Right now, in our current modern reality, wisdom teeth are negatives because they're just extra teeth that impact our others and can create infections and pain that are not necessary, that we do not need. So what is the positive of wisdom teeth? Just extra teeth?
I mean, dude, look, you can search up on Google. I mean, like, I'm not a dentist.
All right,
so, like,
great.
I don't know.
So, but I'm just going well of what you said. They can have positive and negatives. I just only listen to the negatives. I'm just asking what the positive were. Let's just assume that there's some positive. Cool. Some positive to wisdom teeth. Now, within this this design, we see that there are more negatives than positives to wisdom teeth, because we can't even think of a positive right now if they exist. Why would the intelligent designer create something that's negative for us?
Look, you're just stating that you're acting like there's only negativity behind certain things.
I'm just asking why would the creator make why would this intelligent designer intelligently design something that is going to become negative for us anyway? What would be the point of that? Just ask what would be the point of that. If you don't know, you don't know, bro. Like, I'm not trying to pressure you. Like, just say you don't know. You don't know, right?
I'm saying, okay. All I'm saying is that, okay, yeah, sure. If God did this thing and he created wisdom teeth, okay. What are you saying? Are you like acting like
wisdom
that's
teeth? Wisdom teeth are not a good thing for us. They cause infections. They cause pain. We pull them out all the time. We don't need them.
Right.
So there will
But
be
even
no
if
point.
we expand it beyond that, right? There's disease in the body, right? Like there's birth defects and things of that nature. Obviously, I vehemently reject the intelligent design argument for theists. I believe it is a supremacist way of thinking. I don't think anything is intelligent about sucking up all the resources and dumping trash in the ocean. I believe that humans are warm-blooded animals, mammals, and who are humans to say we are the most intelligent species on this planet when there are animals who can see colors that we cannot see, hear pitches that we cannot hear? So what are we basing this intelligence on? The ability to build a skyscraper? It's subjective.
That's what it seems like. So this is what I'm trying to get at, right? This is what I'm trying to get at, right? Like, because you're arguing intelligent design, right? What I'm trying to argue is that there are things within our design that seem to be negative for us, right? They're causing pain, causing diseases, et cetera, et cetera. There will be no point of an intelligent designer creating something like that with like an inherent negative thing within us. Like, there'll be no point of that. When I'm asking you is why he did it, you're saying that obviously you don't know, which is fine. I'm not saying that you have to know. So because we don't know, what I'm trying to point out is that doesn't this seem to go against an intelligent design? Because why create this with something that's going to cause pain?
I'm telling you that I don't sign off that that all things, like, look, I'm just saying that when you're saying this, you know, wisdom teeth exist and they cause diseases or whatever the case may be, which I don't even know if that's true or not, but these things exist. So now there's not a God. No, I sign off that there can still be a God with that being present, because there's positive that come from those things anyway.
No, I'm not saying that there can't be a God. I'm saying that this seat doesn't seem to align with intelligent design, because there's no point of designing making your design have like, for example, let me give an example of this, right? Do you know what planned obsolescence is?
No.
All right. If you own like an iPhone or anything like that, iPhone people always complain about one thing. What do we always complain about? The fact that anytime there's a new version that comes out, our phone stops working, right?
I never complain about that. Not on iPhone.
All right. Listen, there's something that's, can you just go with me? There's something that I'm not asking about you personally. This is a common complaint with iPhone users, right or wrong?
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Okay, cool. That's planned obsolescence, basically. Apple wants to make more profit, so they designed the iPhone to stop working whenever a new one comes out. That's planned obsolescence. Now, that may be profitable for Apple, but that gives us headaches, right? That's crappy for us as consumers, because we got to spend more money, et cetera, et cetera. Planned obsolescence, meaning basically. So it's crappy for consumers, even though it's good for Apple. Negative, positive, right?
Okay.
All right, cool. Do you think that planned obsolescence for the general consumer market is kind of a bad thing. That makes Apple and all these other companies that plan for their products to fail. Would you say that's shitty for us, especially since money doesn't stay the same and these products get more and more expensive and we have to buy them in order to make them more profit? That's shitty for us. Would you say that?
Bro, what?
I'm just asking you yes or no. Do you think that's shitty for us?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Sure. That's shitty for us. So now the question is now this. So this intelligent designer planned something negative in our bodies. Why?
From what metric are you saying that's negative? Are you saying that from a all-knowing point of view, or are you saying that from a human's point of view?
From a human's point of view, because we don't have all-knowing knowledge.
Okay, perfect. So that's irrelevant then, because you're just,
it's relevant.
You're just saying from your subjective opinion.
It's relevant. This is negative for us. Can he give us a reason why he did it?
I'm sure he could.
Okay, cool. So do you know it?
No, I do not know it.
Great. That's all I was trying to get to. All right. You don't know why this happened, but you're still saying that it was intelligently designed. Now, how do we show that it was?
Yeah, look, I don't see an issue with there being negative things presented in something and there not being an intelligent design. I don't see any conflict with that occurring.
Cool. How do we show it's a design now? How do we do that? What do we do?
By saying that there's still good things that come from these things.
So a good thing and a bad. So because a good thing could happen, that means it's intelligently designed. But even though it has bad things in it, that also could mean it's intelligently designed. Can I just go the other way because there are bad things in this? This doesn't seem to be intelligently designed. I can go the other way, right?
I mean, if you're just looking at the bad part of things, then I think that would be a little worse, because if you look from both sides, then there's not an issue for me. Like, I can look at both sides.
So there are things in our bodies that can be good and can be bad, therefore design.
Yeah, there can be somehow a bad outcome to something, and there can be a positive outcome. Yeah, sure.
Therefore design.
I don't get how this breaks down a designer though. I don't understand.
Because it's a non sequitur, bro.
What?
It doesn't follow.
It does not follow that. Okay.
It does not follow that there are good things that happen, there are bad things that happen, therefore design. It doesn't follow.
I mean, do we not live in a fallen world?
How do you know the world is fallen?
How do I know the world's fallen?
Yeah.
Have you read any of the Bible?
Just so you're saying that whatever the Bible claims it must be true?
I'm saying if the thing in the Bible is true, then we would live in a fallen world.
That's if the Bible is true. You have to show the Bible is true first.
Because God's true. If God's true, the Bible's true.
Even if God exists, that wouldn't make the Bible true.
Bro. Look,
because for example, humans have biases, right? Anything that comes to us, we have to interpret through our own bias lens, right? Okay, so even if God were talking to these people, how do we know that they were actually writing what God actually said?
I mean, there's a few ways you look at it. First, I don't get the point of them lying. I don't know why they would lie.
It's not that the point that they're lying; they could be mistaken.
They could be mistaken. All those people that said those things were mistaken. Yes. Do you think it's a hallucination or something?
Yes, because remember, you know who else was mistaken? The Egyptians, and we know they were mistaken because the sun is not a dude with an eagle on his head rising up in his bed, right?
Okay.
So they were mistaken, even though that was part of their religious theology, and they wrote it down. They were still mistaken.
I'm not too familiar with what that is.
Okay. The Egyptians believed that the sun was Amun-Ra sitting up in his bed. A guy with an eagle for a head was sitting up in his bed. Obviously, that's wrong. Right? But they wrote it down, and they said that someone spoke it to them. So even if there was a God that exists that talked to the ancient Egyptians, they were obviously wrong. What they wrote down.
Or you could look at the Greeks. who thought that like a god in a chariot rode through the sky and pulled the sun through the sky, and that's how the sun set and rose.
Helios.
Helios.
Do you believe in mass hallucinations?
Yeah, mass hallucinations could happen. Look at look at Jim.
Insane.
No, it's not. Yeah, no.
Never occurred
Actually,
before.
no. Let me correct myself. Yeah, mass hallucinations are insane. Have you ever heard of Jonestown, my friend?
In what case has that occurred?
Jonestown was a mass hallucination. There are several examples of mass hallucinations. You ever heard of the dancing disease? It happened, I think, in medieval Europe, or the dancing craze. I think it happened in medieval Europe and London when people just started dancing for no reason. That was mass hysteria. It happens all the time.
Died.
And people died. Yeah, that's mass hysteria. It happens all the time.
Yeah, I got a
Okay,
question.
what example are you specifically referring to?
What
I
was
haven't
it?
seen a case where someone's mass hallucinated.
Yeah, it was you want me to give examples of mass hysteria? Sure, we can just Google it. Examples of mass hysteria.
I think in
Let's see.
Jonestown, there were plenty of people that were saying that that cult leader was literally doing miracles, and they were so willing to drink cyanide
Mhm.
in order to get into heaven. They really thought that guy was a prophet, and he was doing miracles.
Yeah, they did. All right, hey Judd, I'm not gonna keep adding you. I'm going to wait for somebody else to come up. All right, so cool. Like the dancing plagues from 1374 to 1518. Yep, right in the Middle Ages. Several dancing plagues came out. People just started dancing in the streets, and they couldn't stop for whatever reason. The Salem witch trials in 1692. The meowing pandemic that happened in the Middle Ages too. War of the Worlds that happened in the 20th century in 1938, where a radio show. They were doing a new radio show, and they had, War of the Worlds, thinking that aliens were invading, and then people actually believed that aliens were invading. Like mass hysteria happens all the time, bro. Like, what do you mean? So now this is gonna go to the to the Bible, right? It doesn't really go to that. Now, mass hysteria could have happened in the Bible, but what we're asking really is that you're assuming that the Bible, whatever the Bible says, it has to be true for reasons. And I'm asking you, why would we just assume that to be true? Why would we do that?
Well, you can look off of like the resurrection, for example. Scholars agree that, what was it? I mean, I'm not too in deep into the resurrection, but
scholars agree that Jesus existed. They don't agree that he resurrected. The only ones who affirm that he resurrected are Christian scholars, and they're argued with all the time because they cannot come up with like historical evidence of what they're saying. Even a lot of them admit that a lot of it is church tradition, claims from sources that we can't prove. A lot of them even admit that Joseph of Arimathea probably wasn't a real guy. There's not a lot of things that we can do for Jesus' resurrection. They agree that he was a person. Resurrection is a whole nother story.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the majority of scholars agreed. I think that the 12, or what was it, disciples actually saw Jesus resurrect, something along that line. So if that would be true, obviously what they're saying in the Bible would be true.
No, not necessarily. Go ahead, Coco. My bad.
A majority of scholars do not hold the position that the disciples, I think they'll grant that they had experiences, but they do not hold the position that they saw Jesus resurrect from the dead. I think like the common position, right? I think the consensus is that Jesus was a Jewish preacher who preached like apocalyptic, sermons basically, and he was crucified. But I mean, like, that's as far as like the consensus goes. Now, in regards to whether he resurrected, that's like up to debate.
It's a consensus that the disciples, or it's a consensus that scholars believe that the disciples actually saw Jesus resurrect.
That's not my consensus.
You'd have to show me the article because that's not the consensus.
Yeah, the consensus is that they agree that Jesus existed, not that he resurrected, or they saw him resurrect.
Yeah, they'll grant that they had experiences, but
saying that they definitely saw him
resurrect.
That's not in there.
I'm not sure that's a consensus amongst atheist and Christian scholars. That's crazy.
Hey, host, I got a question, host.
Go ahead, Real.
So your defense is that the disciples had hallucinations of the resurrection, right?
We know that your background is loud, by the way. When it comes to James, I would say James probably had a hallucination. The other disciples, we don't really know what happened to them. It's more church tradition that says what happened to them. But outside of church tradition, we don't really know what happened to the disciples, right? I think a few of them, like James, we know what happened with him, but the others, if I'm not mistaken, we only go off church tradition. There's no really consensus or historical evidence of what exactly happened. All right, y'all, we're at 15K likes. Let's go ahead and get to 20K. Tap that screen. Otherwise, Cherry will go ahead and turn off the comments if we don't get to 20K within the next 10 minutes. Tap that screen. Let's get to 20K. I appreciate y'all watching me. Now, listen, y'all, the phone line is open. Right now, I linked the Discord call in, so you can go ahead and click on that link, or you have to take a picture of it and do it that way. But you can come on to everyone can go ahead and come on and click on that, and through that Discord link, you'll be able to talk to me and to the panel. We'll all be able to talk to each other. I appreciate y'all for watching over on the Black Atheist Coalition, over on Deconstruction Junction, and over on my personal channel, Volcy Thoughts. The call-in link is linked, and you can go ahead and click on it, speak to us, and we'll go ahead and continue the conversation. All right. Relic. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So it says that scholars believe that they actually saw Jesus alive after his death, or they had something along that line.
They had experience of it, right?
Is that a consensus amongst atheists and like Christian scholars?
That's a consensus among scholars. Yeah.
The consensus among scholars. Hold on, wait. You're saying that the consensus among scholars is that disciples saw Jesus after his death.
Correct.
Nah,
you have to send me the article.
That's cap. No, that's cap. That's cap. No, they agree that that's what the claim is. They don't agree that they actually happened.
Right. That's why it says the word believes. It said they believe. They don't know.
I would grant that like the scholars would agree that they had an experience, but I don't know. I mean, send me the article. Maybe I'm wrong.
I just, with how many religions I've read about now with claims of resurrection, I don't think, even if this were falsifiable or not, scholars probably wouldn't only be concerned with Christian resurrection. Like,
I like to, let's give it to them. Let's say someone did resurrect. Sounds demonic to me. Sounds creepy as hell. Sounds stinky. And I absolutely would not want to be worshiping a Frankenstein monster or someone who came back to life.
Yeah,
let's give it to them. That does not sound like a Lord and Savior that I want to follow. It's insane.
Yeah, I don't want to worship a zombie. All right, so I had to make sure of this, right? So I did go ahead and look this up, and just like how Coco said, they agreed that they had an experience of it. They agreed that they believed that they saw it, but they agreed that the disciples believed they saw Jesus. But what we're asking is, do the scholars agree that they actually did see Jesus? Was it a belief, or did they actually see it? That's what they disagree on, and they disagree on whether this was a physical resurrection or a visionary experience. Disciples were convinced. No, I agree with you, Relic. Disciples were convinced of that, but that's not what I was asking. I was asking of what they were convinced of. Was that actually true? Did they actually see that?
Let me read this. Maybe this might help out, my brother. Let me read this, if you don't mind. Mark chapter 9, verse 31. This is what it reads. It said, "For he taught his disciples and said to them, the Son of Man is being betrayed."
I'm gonna pause you. We don't care what the Bible says, bro. We're trying to reach the conclusion of, is it actually true? Yes, the Bible says that, right?
Yes.
Is it? Hold on. Yes, the Bible says that. Is that actually true? That's what we're trying to get to, right? When it comes to the scholars being convinced of Jesus, yes, scholars agree that they were convinced of this. What we're trying to reach to is what they were convinced of. Did it actually happen? There's no scholarly consensus on that.
Oh, okay. Actually, wait, really quick.
It would just be simply.
Wait, hold on. Wait, really quick.
But this is what I'm saying. But this is what. Hold on.
Wait. Let me say something. There's a strong consensus that like the disciples believed that they saw Jesus resurrect, but there's not a strong consensus on whether what they believed was actually true. I mean, sure, the disciples.
Okay, so then there's only two views that you can hold to. So the two views that you have to hold to is either one that's clearly irrational or the one that seems more probable. Which the view that's irrational is yours. What you're saying that they all just hallucinated and that their experience of that claim, which is brain rot.
I didn't make that claim.
Well, that's the view that you have to hold to.
Can I pose a question to the believers?
Wait, hold on. I'll actually happily take this challenge because I've been studying the resurrection.
Okay, what's going to be your counter then?
Well, yeah, so like I'm just gonna hold to like the minimal witness hypothesis, which is supposed to like combat the minimal facts hypothesis, which is basically gonna suppose that like Peter and Paul had genuine like experiences, which are gonna be like bereavement experiences, because what we do know is that Peter felt guilty for denying Jesus 3 times, and Paul feels guilty because he was a vicious persecutor of the church. So those two probably had visions. Then the information that they took and spread with other people would probably cause them to have experiences, whether dreams or bereavement visions, right? We could evaluate that. But also, like, I mean, given the Gospels, right? And given the accounts that we have, right? I could just deny that any of these people were having like experiences. We have anonymous Gospels that are writing on behalf of people. We don't really have like reliable firsthand accounts. There's a variety of things here.
So you sign off that all of them who are listening, all those, and just to be clear, the scholars agree.
So sort of like right, like my argument wouldn't be that they were all just hallucinating, right? Because again, what happened to the disciples is largely built upon church tradition. We don't actually really know for sure. But what the thing that I was gonna say is that for some of them it could have been post-death hallucination. For others, it could have just been a legendary story that developed over time. You know what I mean? Because I think Jesus had 12 disciples, right? Not all of them wrote down what was going on, or we don't even know if they wrote down what was going on. We don't really have their writings. It didn't survive to this day. So we don't actually know about that part, right? A lot of them could have been following Jesus, and then when he died, we're like, well, fucked off, and then got married and had children, and we never heard from them again. It's only church traditions that says what happened to them. You see what I'm saying? So what I would say is that, what I would say is that, yeah, sure, there are psychological things like visions, being mistaken. Like I said earlier in the live, that this was a superstitious culture. So if they had dreams or they had visions of it, they experienced the dream, they experienced the vision, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily true. Or they could have just screwed off, forgot all about it, and the legendary story just happened over time after they pass it down to their children and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? So it could be a complex picture. It doesn't necessarily have to be one or the other. And these are not irrational. Again, people have post-death grief experiences all the time. People have legends built around them all the time. There are people still today who I was friends with when like 10 years ago who believed I said something because someone else told them, and that person heard that from someone else, a huge game of telephone, and it wasn't true. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, these are things that, and this was only 10 years ago, and we're talking about a period of time where it was 30 years before it was written down and a superstitious culture. So these are not irrational, bro. Like, history is messy and complicated, which is why we got to be careful about what we say.
The passage I was trying to do, the passage, hold on, bro. Let me say something, bro.
There's 12 different people.
Hold on, bro. Let me say something, bro.
There's 12 different people.
Hold on, bro. Let me say something, bro.
There's 12 different people.
Hold on, bro. Let me say something, bro.
There's 12 different people.
Hold on, bro. Let me say something, bro.
There's 12 different people.
Hold on, bro. Let me say something, bro.
There's 12 different people. So you're saying that all of them were just like, they were just confused and they just envisioned something that was just false?
Some parts are real, not all of it though.
Wait, Nate, hold on. You have to be introduced onto the panel. We'll get to you. But okay, so like when it comes to the so the consensus is going to be, right, they hold that, you know, the disciples believed that Jesus rose from the dead. They had some kind of like experience, but like what the scholars can't verify was, did Jesus actually verify, did Jesus actually like resurrect from the dead, and did the disciples actually see Jesus like alive after crucifixion? Now, in regards to like these experiences that they're having, like what could be the reason for these experiences? It could be for some hallucinations. It could be for some dreams or visions. I'm going to grant that Peter and Paul had bereavement visions because they could be susceptible to like mass guilt. Then they spread the information to like other followers, and that could lead to maybe them being mistaken, identifying somebody who isn't Jesus to be Jesus, or it could be the case that they had dreams, or it could be the case that they also had bereavement visions. But there's like a variety of things we could evaluate to see what could explain it.
That doesn't even make sense though, because
How's-
nobody, any rational
so?
person is going to accept information that someone else tells them, especially not 12 different people. Maybe
Well,
2 or
okay,
3
well-
people, that's fine, but not 12 different individuals going to be like, yeah, okay. This
All right,
person's
but
claiming
relic,
this.
but relic. Again, we're not certain what happened to those 12 people because their stories come in later, like centuries later, and they're uneven and legendary. We don't have any evidence of what happened to these people. We have like James, I think Zebedee, or what happened to him, right? But again, a lot of that history is very, very uneven. You see what I'm saying? So it's like when we say that the 12 were convinced, we're not sure of that. It's only church tradition that says so.
Can I pull it in to how I read the situation is, for example, when applying for college scholarships, I know people who were able to get churches and, they'll get churches to vouch for them and say that they volunteer at this church. They go every Sunday. They're on the youth ministry, even though these people did not do these things. Are you following me? I know so many people throughout academia that are able to have letters of recommendation for the upstanding person and human being that they are, saying that they babysat their children or they clean their pools, even though these individuals never did these things. I can get 12 people to vouch for me right now. That's what happens when you're charming, when you're alluring, all of those things. You can get people to be on your side. It doesn't mean that you're a prophet. Like Mormons believe in prophets. It doesn't mean that something is true.
Actually, yeah, like it could be the case that not even all 12 of them had like an experience, right? It could be the case that Peter, Paul had an experience, and maybe a few others had like dreams or visions, right? And also, I mean, like there's incentive here. These people believed in Jesus. These people walked with Jesus for like his whole entire life. And they saw their leader get crucified, and now post-crucifixion, right, Peter and Paul are bringing their experiences, and Peter is known to be the leader of the group. And I mean, like, why wouldn't these people band together? And maybe they could be mistaken, or maybe it could be the case that they're trying to keep this thing going. There have been many cults where the leader dies, but the cult continues. There's a variety of naturalistic explanations for like what could be the case here.
I don't know. I mean, look, if someone that follows the things that are actually presented in Christianity, I don't think they would just seem to like almost lie. It seems almost, because it seems like you're almost saying that they're like trying to like lie in some form and like make a lie up to say, oh, that Jesus was seen alive again or something.
But again, like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be a lie. These folks could just be mistaken, or like these are just legendary stories that started to pop up. Give me 1 second. I have Floppy over on the Discord. Floppy, do you hear me? Give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second.
I hear you.
All right, y'all can hear Floppy, right?
Yeah.
All right, Floppy will be right here. Floppy, are you at least 18? And do you think give us a good reason to believe in a God?
Well, I'm a little confused about your question.
All right. Go ahead and pause. We'll clear up that confusion in a second. The question is simple. Is really simple. Can you give me a good reason to believe in a God? That's pretty much it. All right, y'all. We have an open box. Open box hold on, Floppy. Open box over here on TikTok. You can go ahead and come on up and request whether you're a believer or non-believer. We want to get up someone who's a believer right now so we can even out the box. We're gonna go ahead and keep talking, y'all. All right, so Relic, give me a second because Nate's been up here. He's been patient. Actually, Seer has been up here. He's been patient. He's before Nate. Seer, what do you think that good reason is?
I think there's a difference between reason and an argument that motivates the reason, but I think a good reason is just rationality alone. We examine through the empirical contingency argument that all things that we examine thereby need a creation. If we can only examine and test and review these things in our viewpoint, then it ought to be true that we build a hypothesis or a theorem from this. And this theorem, we're just going to reference it as the X theorem for reasonable purposes. We're just going to say this X theorem is the best explanatory power that we can put on the material universe. If this is the case, then
so your background is very loud.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
It
too.
makes it hard to focus on what you're saying. It's almost as loud as you are.
Yeah, your background is extremely loud. All right, so from what I understand, what you're saying, we have to go off of like in empiricism, right? But how does that lead to a God then?
Well, that's not really like my argument. It would just be my argument follows that if we can use this empiricism to like go to a theory and apply this empiricist theory to the universe, then it ought be true that this universe needs a creation to it.
Okay, so if I use my empiricism to come up with a hypothesis or a theory that the universe was created through a unicorn farting clouds, that necessarily means that this universe was created by unicorn farting clouds?
No, that's just going to be a misrepresentation of my argument. I mean, sure, if you want to, you can apply the hypotheses and try to make a good argument for why this entity called a unicorn made the universe, but that just wouldn't follow. I'm making an argument to saying like, well, there's going to have to be a creator to our universe, therefore God.
All right, cool, but you're not showing how that follows any more than mine.
Yeah, can I ask how it is like you got to the idea of there has to be a creator?
Yeah, no problem. Just by putting the MP or the major premise onto the argument and saying that, well, the empirical things need a creation, applying this theory to the universe, therefore the universe needs a creation. Whatever started the universe would be classified as God, therefore God.
The creation that you're talking about, is it a deliberate or not, or you don't know?
It doesn't necessarily have to be deliberate.
Okay, so if it doesn't necessarily have to be deliberate, then what you're saying that anything that caused the universe to start doesn't necessarily have to be God either. Is God a deliberate agent or not?
Oh, that's going to be a straw man number 2. So again, we're going to just
Seer, I just need you to answer the question. You're seriously, hold on. All right, so let me see if I understood your what you're saying. Empirical things have to be created. The universe is an empirical thing that leads to a creator, which what you will call God, right?
Correct.
Cool. So when I asked you for clarification on what you mean by creation, you mean something deliberate?
No, it doesn't necessarily have to be.
Okay, so no. All right, cool. It doesn't necessarily have to be deliberate. All right, so the universe doesn't necessarily have to be a deliberate creation.
Yep.
Okay, so the universe doesn't necessarily have to be deliberate. So if the universe doesn't necessarily have to be deliberate, how do we then get to a creator?
Well, that's just like assuming that the creator would have to be like an intelligent entity.
Cool. All right, cool. So the creator doesn't necessarily have to be like an entity, right? So the universe could have been created from a natural process that we simply don't understand yet.
Well, then good. Well, then you would have to explain to me like this empirical natural process that started things before space and time.
Right, I want to know. So that's what I'm asking you. Is it possible that the universe could have been kicked off by a natural process that we don't understand yet? That's what I'm saying.
No, it'd be impossible.
That'll be impossible. Okay, so it has to be a deliberate creation.
Yeah.
Okay, but I asked you before, does the universe have to be deliberate? You said no.
Yeah, the universe doesn't necessarily have to be deliberate, because we can view the universe just to be the set of reality which we live in.
Okay,
and
cool.
Then we
so
can say, like,
so does that mean that the universe could have been kicked off by a natural process that we don't understand yet?
Reiterate that.
Doesn't that mean if you're saying that the universe doesn't necessarily have to be deliberate or a deliberate creation, does that mean that that the creation of the universe could have been from a natural process that we simply don't understand yet because we don't have the language to explain it?
I'm not sure.
Cool. I'm not sure either. But in my opinion, hold on, Seer. In my opinion, that's the most honest position, because we can't simply say that the universe was created from a deliberate creation or a non-deliberate creation if we don't have the language to explain what that even means yet.
Well,
we can just say we don't know.
Well, I just need to understand what you mean by deliberate and non-deliberate.
Deliberate, I mean something like this, like a willful thing, like me spinning this bottle around. You see me that this is deliberate, right? But so like, hold on, but like the wind blowing is simply the earth rotating. That's not deliberate. The earth just rotates. That's just what it does. There's nothing making the earth rotate. Now, there's something making the water in this bottle rotate, which is me. That's deliberate. The earth rotating is not deliberate. It just does it. So that's what I mean by deliberate versus non-deliberate.
So gravity's not making the earth rotate?
Yeah, that centrifugal force, stuff like that, gravity.
Gravity
but
is not intentional. I think
that's what I mean. Yeah, gravity is not I don't think gravity is intentional.
Okay, sure. So yeah, my argument is just going to be that this creator has to be intelligent. Therefore, by quantifying that this empirical universe needs a creator to its creation. Therefore, because space and time is not going to be able to create something.
All right. So you're saying that the universe is a deliberate creation, then?
Yep.
All right. Now, if the universe is a deliberate creation, cool. How do we now show that to be true? How do we verify what you're saying?
Well, because the universe is just going to be, space and time is going to be intrinsic to the universe. If the universe was not there, then space and time is not there. If space and time is not there, then creation cannot be there. Well, then, yeah, the natural processes for creation cannot be there. Therefore, this ought to be an intelligent mind.
That didn't show me what didn't verify what you said. You said that the natural process ought not to be there. Why? How do you know?
Yeah, because space and time's not there. You would have to give me a motivator under your worldview on why there has to be space and why there cannot be space and time, but a creation still there, but through natural processes.
Can I ask how we got to space and time not being fundamental? Logic?
Yeah, or do you subscribe to A-theory or?
Stop. Space and time. Are you saying that space and time is not fundamental to the universe, or it is fundamental to the universe? I mean, let me clear that up first.
It's going to be fundamental to the universe.
It's fundamental to the universe. Okay, cool. So, but you said that the creation of space and time could not have been a natural process. It had to be a deliberate process.
No, that's strawman number 4.
Seer, you need to chill out, bro. If I said something, if I mistake what you said, then you can clear it up. But don't simply say straw man. All right, you can simply say no, you didn't. Hold on, Seer, shut up for a second. You can simply say that's not what I meant. Let me clarify. All right, because because we all can make mistakes, right? I can make a mistake on what you're trying to say, and you can make a mistake on what I'm trying to say. We'll just clarify. A straw man means I'm being dishonest. I'm not trying to be dishonest. Right, Seer? I'm not trying to be dishonest.
You're not trying to be dishonest.
All right, so cool. All right, cool. I'm not trying to be dishonest. Stop claiming straw man. All right, cool.
Well,
so clear. No, I don't. Yeah. I just be bullshitting around up here. All right, so hold on. All right, cool. Let me try to understand what you're trying to say. All right, so are you of the position that the universe had to be a deliberate creation, or most likely?
Yes.
All right. So everything that you said before, in my mind, I didn't hear you verify it, right? Because it didn't seem to get to that spot. Go ahead and repeat what you were saying before. Let me see if I can understand what you were saying.
That's fine. I'll put it in a very simple way where it follows from P to P. Okay. In order for a natural creation, it needs space and time. If the universe did not exist at a period through the hypotheses that I'm going through, then therefore there's no natural creation to be made. Follows because there's no time and there's no space. So if we're going to be doing this, how is it possible under your naturalistic worldview that you can't have space and time, but naturalism exists,
right?
Or natural causes exist?
Gotcha. All right. So when we talk about space and time, it's only space and time on how we understand it, right? When we get to the hot dense state or the singularity, at that point, our physics can't really explain what's going on there, but there's something there, right? There's literally something there, and it seems to be something physical language to explain what's going on, but something is happening. So hold on, I'm not done. But something is happening at that point. So what I would say is that our understanding of space and time, how we describe space and time, the way that this is the way that we explain or understand space time at our current moment in this current juncture of the universe. Yeah, that wasn't there, right? That didn't exist, but another form of it could have, and I don't see why that wouldn't be the case. But that can't be the case.
Give me a motivator for that. Give me a motivator for that.
I have no idea what you mean by that. What do you mean?
I don't think non-living things can be motivated to do anything.
hold on, give me 1 second. When I'm referring to a motivator, I'm referring to give me a reason why this proposition is true.
You're insinuating there has to be a reason, though.
Yeah, wait. Yes, there always has. Wait, there has to be a reason for all of the evidence that we're talking about.
Seer,
You're only positing that.
well, see, I think I already gave you the reason.
You
I talked
just
about hold on. I talked about the singularity, a point where our mathematics and our physics breaks down, and the way that we describe space time can't be explained when we get there. So it had to honestly, like that, since that's our hard stop, that means our understanding of space time is incomplete, right?
If it's a hard stop, that means our space time is incomplete.
Actually, Seer, you're right. Let me explain it. Let me say it another way. It's not a hard stop. It's that just at this point, when it comes to the singularity, our understanding of space time is obviously incomplete because the math and our descriptions of it don't apply to that hot dense state. It doesn't apply to singularity. So that means our understanding of space time has to be incomplete. So what I'm saying is that space-time could have existed in another form. It's just that we don't have the language to explain that right now.
Okay, what is space?
All there is around us.
Okay. If space was not, could physicality be?
If space was not, could physicality be? No. Well, I'm not sure, actually. I don't know. I'll say I don't know.
You're not okay. You're agnostic on that. That's fine. I won't even dig deep into that because that's just pure logic. Any scientist knows if there was no space, then physicality can't be. I'll just let you do your own research on that and find that out the hard way.
Right. But Seer, what I'm trying to say is that the way that we describe space-time, it breaks down at the singularity, which will obviously mean that our understanding of space-time is incomplete.
Just because it breaks down and at one point we don't understand it doesn't mean it ought not be. I can use the same.
That's not what I said, bro. That's not what I said.
Hold on.
I said that our understanding of it is incomplete. That doesn't mean it ought not be. That's not what I said.
Okay. Wait, our understanding of God is incomplete, but I could just conclude that since we don't have the language to provide the evidence for God, that doesn't mean God doesn't exist.
Right. I don't say that. I don't say that God doesn't exist. Right. But Seer, but that's not what that's not what my position. I'm not saying that God doesn't exist. I'm saying that we have no reason to.
Are you agnostic?
I'm an agnostic atheist. I don't believe in one, but I don't say whether or not I know that one doesn't exist. I never say I know it doesn't exist.
Yeah, can you debunk my hypotheses on the empiricists?
I can.
What do you mean?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Ruja. I've been talking for a while.
The four fundamental interactions seem to be eternal in that they've always been going on. And there is no stretch of the universe where we can describe it without invoking them.
Wait, are you applying, are you doing an internal critique through my hypotheses or external critique?
I'm assuming external because it sounds like you don't believe in an eternal universe.
That's not an external or internal. I'm asking you whether you're accepting my theory, which follows from empiricism.
No, I'm not accepting it.
Oh, okay. So how was this debunking my hypotheses? You're just stating a metaphysical claim, which then we can state a bunch of metaphysical claims, and I could get way past this eternality universe and just sit here and bully you with A theory of time, and then run BVG theorem, and you sit there and call me a Filbro for 5 minutes, and you crash out and they end up dropping me. But you don't want to go through this metaphysical thing because everybody on this panel knows that I'll spank you. Okay.
I'm not even sure what's happening. I'm not even sure what's happening. Yeah, I'm not even sure what's happening.
Speaking for everyone on the panel.
Yeah.
What is on with y'all?
And I'm gonna ask y'all once again because y'all could keep the snarkiness and rudeness out of it because this is something that always makes me drop people when y'all become rude, when y'all become snarky. Don't do all that, bro. A lot of people don't understand these philosophical terms. There are some terms where I don't understand, and I'm gonna ask you to clarify what you mean. Y'all don't have to do this rude shit, bro. Y'all really don't.
Okay.
But hold on, Seer. All right, so I was just reading the comments, and fuck you for whoever called me slow. You don't have to do a complicated way for this, Seer. All you gotta say is that something can't come from nothing, and I would agree with you. If that's what you were trying to say, you could have just said that. I would have been agree with you. You didn't have to go through the complex way. Just say something can't come from nothing. I agree. Something can't come from nothing. But to me, that doesn't imply that that a God exists. We would need some sort of verification or some reason to say that that's true. And simply saying, well, something can't come from nothing, in my mind, doesn't necessarily mean a deliberate creator. If that's what you're saying this entire time, we could have parted ways already. We'll just say, we'll just never agree on that, because I have no problem if you were to say something can't come from nothing. In my mind, that means that a creator must be behind it. I would be fine with that. I would just say, man, I don't really agree with that, but we're not going to convince each other or get any like productive conversation. We could go ahead and, you know, tip our glasses and say, all right, bro, I'll see you later. We ain't got to go through all this, man.
Yeah, no, that's not my argument. That's one of the theories of my argument.
One of your theories of your argument is that something can't come from nothing. I agree with you that something can't come from nothing, but that doesn't mean that, I don't think that implies a creator. What do you think implies a creator?
What do I think implies a creator?
Yeah.
Creation.
All right. But are you saying creation like as existence? Us existing?
Well, I believe creation is in multiple different ways, but sure, existence is one of them.
All right. Now, existence is one of them. I agree with you that our existence is certainly a big mystery. I agree with that. That doesn't imply to me that our existence is now a deliberate product. That's what I'm trying to say. And I don't see a reason why I should assume that.
Sure. It would be a natural product.
Our existence is a natural product.
Something created would be natural?
Huh?
Yeah, let me get clarification. So, yeah, our existence being deliberate, right? That's something that I don't see why. I don't see a reason to believe that. But like, when I say, oh crap, I'm sorry, I lost my space. Let me just go back what I was saying before. Yeah, existence, something can come from nothing. Our existence is a mystery. I don't see a reason for why our existence has to be a created byproduct or deliberate. Why would you say that? Why would you say it is? Just repeat yourself so we can get back on track.
Yeah, I believe that's the reason why it is because in order to have existence, you have to have a creator.
Right. And in order for us to have existence, you have to have a creator. And you're saying that this creator had to be deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Rain exists, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And rain falls out of clouds.
Mm-hmm.
Clouds are not deliberate. They're just a consequence of physics.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So why does our existence needs to be deliberate, not a consequence of physics we don't understand?
Maybe because there's more than one type of creation.
That doesn't really answer my question, bro. We're talking about this type.
No, yeah, that type. Well, the reason why it doesn't follow through that type is because one, we don't have physicality if no space exists. Two, there cannot be a set of change if no time exists. Therefore, if we say the P, we have a natural creation, then not P, but time doesn't exist. Or the P, we have some space, but P, space doesn't exist, or physicality doesn't exist. This is a P, not P, a contradiction through my premise. You understand? Are you tracking?
No, I'm tracking, right? But again, the mistake that you're making is saying that our understanding of space-time applies to the singularity, and it doesn't.
All you're saying is through the singularity, we don't understand a simple concept, but we have the concept. So no,
we don't. We have our version of space-time right now, right? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't apply to the singularity. Space-time was different at that point.
What's the motivation?
That's literally what the mathematics says. The space-time that, hold on, Seer, this is literally what the model points out, that our understanding of space-time does not apply there. You don't need a motivator. That's literally what it says.
Give me a peer-reviewed paper then.
A peer-reviewed paper that our understanding of the singularity does not apply. That our understanding of space-time doesn't apply to singularity.
I want a paper that what you're saying is true to the model that you're following.
What?
I hate to be that guy, but it's kind of common knowledge that there is no way to falsify or unfalsify cosmology beyond our light cone, which, as he was saying, ends with the Big Bang singularity. Like this is just not falsifiable unless you can somehow go
so I can
outside the
research it.
observable universe.
I would like a paper so I can research it so I can get better knowledge. That's all I'm asking.
Wait, a
But
paper for
it sounds like you're doing it in a really disingenuous way.
no, no,
I don't know.
hold on, wait, stop. Seer, I honestly don't understand what you're trying to ask me here. You're because this has been like the case for years where we can't explain what's going on with the singularity. You need a paper to say that we can't understand what's going on with the singularity.
Yeah, I would like to read on it.
All right, I'll go ahead and look those up and DM you. I guess, but at this point, I thought it was a common knowledge. But I'll go ahead and DM you. Hold on, Seer. I don't have it on hand right now. I'll go ahead and DM you all that. All right. All right.
I'm not
cool.
necessarily disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I have a lack in knowledge of it.
All right, cool. So but last question, as far as you know, do you think that we do know what's going on in singularity?
As far as it from what you're telling me, no.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. I got you, Seer. All right, JB, I'm gonna get to you in a second because I have Floppy over here on the Discord. If y'all can see him here, y'all see that this little yellow thing right next to me, right? Y'all see that? All right, cool.
I see. He's muted.
Yeah, he's muted right now. All right, Floppy, how's it going, Floppy? And I'm gonna go ahead and let Coco, Cherry, Zoe, and Rudra go ahead and run this as well because I've been talking for a while. J 2.0, if you'd like to come up, go ahead and come on up, please. I would appreciate you. All right, Floppy, thank you so much for being patient. What do you think is the good reason to believe in a God?
Well, the question I'm asking is, well, there's a difference between evidence that God exists and a good reason to believe in God, you know? Because believing is different from knowing, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
And, you know, from the perspective of a Christian, you know, they believe, they go to church, they have a community that loves them. They, you know, don't fear death because they think they're going to go to heaven. They're happy as a clam. So
wait, I'm going to
really,
pause you
why
right
shouldn't
there.
they be Christian?
I've seen several nurses say they've never seen a Christian. They said the Christians are the most terrified of death, actually. Now, of course, that's just her account, but I've heard that several times.
I never understood that. It's like,
I'm
why
sorry,
are they
I'm
scared
not
of meeting
really
their
hearing
boss?
you. I don't know if you're taking a pause or
wait.
What?
Hold on. Seer, you said that. I mean, I said Seer. Floppy, you can't hear the TikTok.
Oh wait, now I'm hearing you. Yeah.
All right, you're hearing me, but the person who responded to you weren't able to hear her.
No.
Give me a second. Everyone on my TikTok right now, say mic check 1 2 1 2 on your mic. Go ahead and say it.
1 2 1 2 check.
Mic check.
Do you read me?
All right, everybody pause. Floppy, did you hear any of that?
I heard nothing.
Damn.
I'm only in the Discord call with you.
Damn it. Damn. That freaking sucks. Let me see if I have to share my screen.
Are they in your earphones?
Yeah, they are. Maybe
Okay.
if they hear my screen, maybe if they hear my screen. Give me a second.
Yeah, screen share.
Let me screen share. All right, let me screen share. Let me see. Look at the options here. All right, now everybody on my TikTok, go ahead and say mic check 1 2 1 2 for me real quick.
Mic check 1 2 1 2.
All right, Floppy, were you able to hear any of that, Floppy?
No, I heard nothing again.
Yeah, he's still hearing nothing. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and try to figure this shit out, man. All right, but give me 1 second. So Floppy, go ahead and stay on mute for me real quick. I'll go ahead and get back to you, okay? I'll get back to you, Floppy. All right, JB, how's it going, JB? Are you at least 18? And do you think you give us a good reason to believe in a God?
Wait, what happened?
Are you at least 18? And do you think you give us a good reason to believe in a God?
Absolutely. I'm
All right,
24,
great.
but
All right, great. Hold on. Yeah, JB, give me a second. Hold on. All right, Bill, are you at least 18? And do you think you give us a good reason to believe in a God, Bill?
Yes.
Yes. All right, great. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get to JB first. JB, go ahead and repeat what you were saying. Go ahead and finish up.
Well, I would like to stack off of what Sierra was saying. Even though, like, I'm not agnostic, to me, it's either you in the boat or you're out the boat. It's either you believe in God, Jesus Christ, or you don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I would say a more, how do I say, a more like pragmatic proof of evidence that God exists, like past creation, like already assuming that God exists, already assuming creation, that He was like intentionally creating us and we're an intentional creation. I would say like our mind perfectly mirrors what God intends for us to do. And I would say that like because if you look at the structure, right? If you just look at structure in general, like with rules and regulation and the idea of order, that in itself and the idea of right and wrong, I would say that's evident. You know, it's evident of God's divine order.
That doesn't objectively prove the existence of your God, though.
Well, I would say mine. Because mine is definitely the most consistent one out of every single other ones. I never seen Jesus give me a reason to not believe in Him. I mean, I never seen Him be amoral. I never seen Him be disingenuous to anyone.
You've never seen Shiva do those things either.
Well, actually, if you go off of Shiva, then that means we're talking about the use of magic. And last time I checked, magic doesn't care whether you're a good person or not. So anybody can manipulate that.
Why do you guys demonize other people's cultural understanding of God?
That was not a demonization. That was an astute observation, actually. I was saying,
Some people could say Christianity could be used for good and evil too.
Well, I would.
I mean, sure, like you can weaponize a belief, but I'm talking about manipulating the quote unquote God itself. You can't do that.
Well, I mean, you guys just call it miracles. We call them mantras.
Well, I find this interesting because, like, I think we can prove the Christian God through just like isolated virtue ethic.
Sure, Aristotle.
Well, actually, no. That's actually Hegel. Aristotle argues open virtue ethics. So I'm arguing isolated virtue ethics. So it's actually Hegelian philosophy. So before you accuse me of being an Aristotelian, you need to like research philosophy a little bit more.
Wow, Hegel.
But it's
you know,
okay.
I like his student more.
His student was okay, but he lacked a few understandings on what Hegel meant. I think that he could have done better.
True. Hegel is often more materialist than Marx, deep down.
Yeah, well, you know, idealism's based. You atheists won't ever admit it, though.
Well, Hegel wasn't an idealist, so I'm not sure why you'd bring him up.
All right, guys, I don't care about any of this. Let's go ahead and get back to what we were saying. So, JB, you're saying because of our mind and Jesus never gave you a reason to doubt Him. Shango also never gave me a reason to doubt Him either. So does that mean Shango exists?
But the thing is that no one has ever claimed that Shango never sinned. Whoever that is.
So what? So what?
What do you mean? So what? Why would you trust him?
Hold on. So just because you're saying that I should trust Jesus because people claimed he never sinned.
On top of that, he's done miracles. It's like there's stacked reasons.
How do you prove that he did miracles? How do you prove that he did miracles?
Eyewitness accounts. It's the same way. Okay, so for one, I would like to take a few steps back because I think that it would be disingenuous to say, oh, well, you can just trust Jesus off of this one thing. No, it's a conglomerate. But I would say the one above all things because just about anybody, I mean, metaphysics or mass important and well-regarded metaphysicists suggest that anybody can do magic. But one thing above all is the morality of Christ. That is the one thing above all else is the morality of Christ and the things that people have also said about him. So it's like, I mean, you can say that
JB,
the most.
JB, this is still a problem because this is all just coming from stories. There are plenty of people who made stories of righteous, good characters. That doesn't mean that the people that in that story actually existed. Doesn't mean that.
Josephus would disagree with you. Josephus did not like Jesus. So.
No, what I'm saying is that I don't have an issue with Jesus existing. Right, that's not my problem. The issue is not Josephus. Damn it, I'm sorry. The issue is not Josephus saying that he existed. The issue is the superpowers. How do we know that part is true?
There's plenty of accounts of the Pharisees. I mean, like, if they think really, really just think about this like black and white as much as you possibly can. If somebody really, really doesn't like you, they wouldn't give you any glory at all. And last time I checked, I would say that doing what some people call quote unquote magic, that would give a person even a slight inch in glory. Like, why would you say that?
Wait,
Like, why would you even
What do you?
admit
Wait, hold
to
on,
that?
I'm kind of lost here. Are you saying that the Pharisees said that Jesus resurrected?
No, I was saying that the Pharisees have said to many councilmen that Jesus was doing quote unquote magic. So like, and we're talking about like dozens upon dozens. Like,
All right.
You
So
like,
JB, you understand?
It gets to a point. It
You
gets to a point, man.
you understand that when they said, first of all, when they said Jesus did magic, they were saying that this was a negative thing, right? That he was blaspheming, etc.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But
I
the
do
second
get
thing
it.
is, hold on. The second thing is that them simply claiming that he did magic, does that mean that he actually did magic, or they didn't understand what was happening, or
I
they were
mean,
just
me
reporting
personally.
or they were just reporting claims?
Okay, so I would say it's the first two. I would say that he actually wasn't doing magic, and for two, they didn't understand what they were saying, which is why they called it magic. Like, of course, like their eyes like saw, but they did not grasp the foundation of what they were seeing,
Right.
which is actually holiness
So right.
incarnate.
I got you. So the Pharisees said that Jesus was doing magic, but they what they did was they described it in a negative fashion, right? Basically that he was possessed by demons. So the question then becomes, why should we believe that, number one, he was possessed by the Holy Spirit and not demons, and number two, that this even happened at all?
Well, I would even go as far to say that the people that was closely watching Jesus for 3 years straight, and yes, you can go look this up. They even said that, for one, if we're talking about, since we're talking about Jesus' morale, they never seen the man sin. Last time I checked, psychological studies showed, and sociology studies show that when you're around a person for about a year in like tight constraints, right, in tight living conditions, there's a pretty good chance the quote unquote shadow side of themselves will come out, right? And for two, I would say that you can even look at the things that the general public had to say about Jesus. It's like the general public on top of the people that was around Jesus 24/7. It's like this constant ongoing idea, like
But
the way that Jesus carried
JB,
himself.
hold on. Everything you're saying is just what the Bible says, right? We have no resources outside of that, so the Bible is already going to be a biased source. If I write something that's going to be like praising me or my dad or whatever, I'm gonna put that my dad was the greatest father ever, and not put any of the faults that are in there, because I want people to believe a certain thing. But like, we have no recollection or evidence or anything like that beyond whatever the Bible says.
Well, there was Pontius Pilate. There was him as well. That's another person.
Right.
So
But
we're talking about like people
so
outside.
we know Pontius Pilate existed, right? But I don't, if I'm not mistaken, he didn't write anything about Jesus.
But there was still like recordings. There was still like recordings involving Jesus doing these things.
Sorry,
Only
it's
in the
Tacitus,
Bible,
I
nowhere
think you
else.
might be thinking of who wrote about Jesus.
Wait, what?
Right. What I'm saying is that it's only in the Bible of Jesus doing all these things, nowhere else.
No, I'm saying that there are external sources. Like, for instance, what's his name?
There are external
the king-
sources of Jesus existing. I agree with you there, right? There are external sources. What I'm asking about is the superpowers, right? The Josephus and Tacitus wrote that people believe they saw superpowers, but no one ever verified superpowers, bro.
500 eyewitnesses? No,
there's no eyewitnesses.
There's no 500 eyewitnesses.
There's no what?
There's no 500 eyewitnesses that did not see that man raised from the grave.
That's simply what Paul said. We don't know what Paul's saying is true or not. Paul just claimed it.
Let me ask JB this. When was the last time you saw someone rise from a grave?
I never see that ever in my life, and that's the thing.
You
It's
want to
like,
know why you haven't seen it? Because it's not possible.
I mean, you believe that that's not possible, but that's
No, it's not
anecdotal.
that I believe
But
it. It's a fact that is not possible because human beings cannot rise from the dead. Once you are dead, you are dead. That is how that works.
that's if you're not Christ. But if you were supposed to, ma'am,
That's how that
what I'm saying,
works.
ma'am,
And
what I'm
if that
saying
is not how
if
that
I,
works, then I would
if
like
I,
you to provide evidence of human beings rising from the dead after they have perished.
So JB, really the issue that I'm having here is simply you simply claiming that, all right, other people can't rise from the dead because that's just what Jesus can do. All right, cool. Now you actually have
No,
to
I
show.
did not say that was completely limited to Jesus. I wasn't saying that was completely limited to Jesus because we've seen Lazarus. Like there's eyewitnesses of Lazarus.
There's no eyewitnesses of Lazarus. That's only in the Bible.
Yes, I'm like, so the Bible is not evidence. The Bible is a claim.
So what the issue that I'm having here, what we're trying to say here, JB, is that yes, we understand the Bible says these things. Is what the Bible saying actually true? You're saying yes, and I'm actually having to show that.
And there's no evidence that there is. There's no evidence of human beings rising from the dead. There's no evidence of people being able to talk to burning trees talking unless you've been burning too many trees. No shade, but all shade. There's no evidence of you being able to put a man being able to put his rib into dirt and make a whole human. There's no evidence of talking snakes, donkeys, or whatever other animal you want to come up with. There's no evidence. That women came from a man's rib. There's evidence. It is a claim. You are and as a religious man and as a Christian, it is your job to verify to us that claim.
Wait, religious man. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Don't focus on that part. 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 Focus on the actual substance of you would actually have to show that this is correct. This is true. All right, y'all. We have a whole bunch of spots open. I am going to end soon though, because I've been on for 2 hours 45 minutes. I'm gonna end this around 3 hours 15, 3 hours 30. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So JB. Again, these are things that the Bible says. We understand what the Bible says. It's all about if what the Bible says is true. Give me 1 second, JB. Floppy, go ahead and come off mute.
Hello.
Y'all heard Floppy?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
All right, cool. All right, everybody say mic check 1 2 over on TikTok.
Mic check 1 2.
You hear that, Floppy?
Check.
I'm hearing everyone.
All right, cool. Floppy is finally hearing everyone. I gotta figure it out.
But yes, but I do want to ask JB this, since we're talking about the Bible and all of these things. Do you believe that that man came first?
I'm sorry?
So do you believe that men came first before women?
Oh yeah.
Why do you have nipples?
Have to.
Why do you have nipples, JB?
Probably because that's how the good Lord made me.
No. Why do you have nipples?
Like I said, I mean, that's pretty much the part.
There's a reason that you have nipples.
A better question is, why do you have a navel?
Probably because my mom was the one that birthed me. Like I've never seen a man birth a woman, but the thing is, like, what you would have to do, and what you'll have to perceive.
No, JB, I want you to answer my questions directly. Why do you have nipples?
I mean, I just said that that's just how God made me. But then Brody asked
it's not just how God made you. Because first of all, God didn't make you. You were born from your mother.
All right, can I just clarify something of where where Kay is trying to get to, right? You have nipples because every zygote starts off as female, and then a mutation happens, and then we become male. And
that is exactly the reason why. So so if men came first, then why is the Y chromosome a broken X, and why do you have nipples? If men came first, then you shouldn't have nipples. Only
Right.
women should.
Right, because that's something that we absorb from the X chromosome. The Y chromosome doesn't have that. So that would show that the creation story has a huge problem in it, doesn't it?
Okay, so not exactly. So
That's
since
exactly
we're
what
talking
it says.
since we're talking about God, right? I mean, mind you, we're talking about the person that made the universe, right?
No,
In
I'm
the
like, no,
Bible,
we're
there's
talking about
like
someone
we're
that you claim exists that made
I
the
mean, like, are you gonna
universe.
like cut me off, or are you gonna allow me to
Yeah,
make my
because
statement?
I'm a mod, so I can do that.
All right, we're
I can absolutely do that, and I can interject it.
Host, you going for this?
Yes. All right. So
You
JB,
are? Oh my God.
JB, hold on. JB, give me a second. All right, cool. Let's do this. Let's be fair. Let's go ahead and let JB finish what he's saying. All right. So JB, let me go ahead and reiterate what I'm trying to say here. All right. So what we're trying to say here is that when you say that everything in the Bible is correct, including the creation story, our genetics seems to contradict that, because if males were first and then females came from males, then we would see a difference between the XY chromosome. We will not have nipples. We get that from the X chromosome, and not only that, all zygotes start off as females. They mutate and become male. That would seem to suggest that females were first, but that goes against what the Bible says. So, what evidence do we have that the creation story is actually true? What evidence do you have of that?
Okay, so like I was saying, right, we're talking about God here, right? We're talking about the person or this mind, however you want to conceptualize them, right? This energy that has the ability to create and destroy worlds at will. Okay. And if you look at the Bible, there are the creatures that are other than us, right? We have creatures that have wings, right? We got creatures that have eyes all over their
JB,
body.
I'm gonna pause you
Like,
real quick. JB, I'm gonna pause you real quick.
oh, yeah.
I think you. The thing is, you think
That's
that you're
not
answering
evidence.
right. The issue is that you think that you're answering my question, but you're actually not, because the question is very, very specific to if the creation story is true and males came before females, our genetics would show that, but it doesn't. So that contradicts the creation story, right? Which is what we can say that contradicts the creation story. And we can see that females came before males. Then the creation story, according to what we see in genetics, is incorrect. So what I'm asking you is, what, in your opinion, would show that the creation story is true?
Matter of fact, not only is the creation story not true, and science proves that, but science also proves that the first original person was a Black woman, which is why Black people come in a variety of different shades, hair textures, eye colors, features, etc. Because Black women are literally the mitochondrial Eve. So I want evidence. I don't want the claim. I want evidence. When and where did males come first? And I want you to provide empirical evidence, and do not use your Bible.
Yeah, JB. So that's the question. What, in your opinion, would show the creation story to be true?
Hold on one second, bro. Hold on one second.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
All right, guys. Quick commercial breaks. I do appreciate y'all for being here. Y'all are wonderful. If you're watching me from the Deconstruction Junction, Nate, mute real quick because you have an echo. If you're watching me from the Deconstruction Junction, I definitely appreciate you there. If you're watching me from my personal channel, Volcy Thoughts, thank you so much. Go ahead and keep liking the live and sharing it. And if you're watching me from the Black Atheist Coalition, even though y'all never come up and think for some reason that cool, I appreciate you watching me there
science
as well.
actually does say that. Like, they call her the mitochondrial Eve.
Yeah.
The beginning.
Right. And when it comes to the mitochondrial Eve, it's not that it's the first woman or the first only
Not
woman.
literally. That's not what I said.
Right. It's basically the woman that we all came from, and she was a woman that was in the Sahara. So, a Black woman. All right. So JB, whenever you like to come back, go ahead and come back, and we can just continue discussion.
In fact, when I do want to say this. When when what's her name? I'm like, the model, I'm like, I forget her name, but she's the Kenyan woman from Mexico.
Lupita
Nyong'o, yes, Miss Lupita. When she went on Finding Your Roots on NBSC, they actually traced her DNA to the mitochondrial Eve. So I'm like, so.
Can I say
so
something?
She is literally the living descendant.
Yeah, her direct answer. That's correct. All right, Nate. Yeah, you were up here before, but you dropped. And now you're back. I appreciate you. Now I think
I
that.
never had a chance to talk, brother. That's
Yeah,
why.
that's
But,
that's not a problem. It's because I go one by one. All right, so Nate,
just with the
why do you think
case,
it's a
what
good
she was
reason to
saying
believe
right
in it?
now.
Hold on, Nate.
Can it
Why do you
be
think
my
it's?
turn?
Yeah, it's gonna be your turn, Nate. What do you think is a good reason to believe in a God? We're just waiting for JB to come back because he had to go somewhere. Nate, what do you think is a good reason to believe in a
the
God?
belief in the God, well, I could start off with consciousness.
Mhm.
Okay. But I want to answer Kay real quick on what she was saying about women being created first. It's contradicting, because how would a man be created? How would a woman be created without a man?
First of all, you're claiming that I didn't say the word created at all, because me and Volcy have talked countless times about evolution. So I'm not talking about. I was bringing that up to debunk the creation story of the Bible, because JB was saying that the Bible was true.
Yeah. All right. So Nate, let's clarify. Hold on, y'all. Let's clarify. We're not saying that women were quote unquote created first. What we're saying is that according to genetics, we all start off female, then we mutate and become male, right? So we all start off as female. However, the creation story says that Adam was first. So if the creation story says that Adam was first, that a male was first, our genetic understanding of genetics, it contradicts that. So that would show
exactly
right. It contradicts that. So that would show that genetically, according to the science, the creation story is incorrect. And we were trying to ask JB what in his opinion would show the creation story to be correct.
Yeah. Well, my argument with that is how would either be created?
What do you mean by that?
Really,
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I have a really cheeky one-word answer: parthenogenesis.
Well,
what does that mean?
Would be one.
I mean, because we need each other.
That's when a female in a species, certain species can do it, can lay eggs and reproduce without a male partner.
But then that would mean we are.
So Nate, hold on. So Nate, let me try to answer your question, Nate.
Not usually in humans, but reptiles and other things.
Yeah, there's a lizard. Hold on, Nate. I don't think you actually understand what we're saying. Hold on, Nate. I don't think we're actually understanding what we're saying. You're kind of amalgamating everything that we're saying, and you can't do that, right? This is what excuse me. This is what we're trying to say. No, number one, we don't think that we're a deliberate creation. We believe that we evolved on this planet, right, from single cell organisms. Number two, from what we can tell, females were first, the 2X chromosomes, and then a mutation happened, and then males came about, right? That's number two. But number three, when it comes to parthenogenesis, what Rudra was saying, there are species out there that are all female or don't need a male partner. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there is like a lizard species where it's all female. They're just clones of each other. So parthenogenesis can happen, obviously, right? It just didn't happen for humans.
And if let's say humans were
cross genetics don't work.
Hold on, Nate, because it's also in genetics as we currently speak, they are saying that the Y chromosome is slowly disappearing, which means the male is actually slowly disappearing. In humans. So eventually, either here's what's going to happen: evolution is going to take form and kind of quicken up, and women are going to have to begin to reproduce. Through parthenogenesis sexually. It probably will kick up in humans, or this is what I would say, or obviously we're going to go because eventually there are not going to be males in humans because the Y chromosome is actually disappearing over time.
The whiptail lizard, that's what it was. All right, so Nate, does that clarify what our position is now?
No, because then that would still mean that you would need a male animal to
That is not, again, we
All right, but
show the
Nate,
way that is not necessarily true.
but Nate, I already gave you an example of an all-female species. The whiptail lizard is all female. Now, mammals, yes, for mammals, male. Hold on, Nate. For mammals, yes, we need males. But as Kate just pointed out, the Y chromosome is slowly disappearing. So of course we're not going to live for 100,000, 200,000 years, but it could be possible that humans in 200,000 or 300,000 years there will be less and less males. All right, so
parthenogenesis might kick in.
And parthenogenesis might kick in, exactly. Otherwise, we just go extinct. But what I'm trying
That's
to,
what I literally said.
I think we're just gonna go extinct. But yeah, Nate. So what we're trying to understand is that what are you trying to understand from us? Like, what do you think our position is?
Because y'all talked while I was trying to say something.
No, Nate, go ahead, because I'm kind of
incorrect.
Right. Nate,
We're
I'm
misconstruing our position.
right. I was just trying to clarify our position, but I'm trying to understand what are you trying to ask us? What do you need from us?
I'm just making a statement. I'm not trying to ask you guys anything, but you cannot cross genetic. A human cannot have sex with a lizard and create a human.
That's not
right. We never
what
said that.
anyone
We're
said
not. That's what I'm saying, Nate. No one is saying that. So we're not understanding what your position or what you're trying to tell us. Like what you're trying to come, like where you're trying to come from.
Saying one to anything that we claim, and anything that we do not know.
I'm still on the subject about our creator. Y'all switched it up to a whole different thing.
Well, we already clarified that we don't believe that there is a deliberate creator, that we evolution, that we we evolved through a single cell organism over time.
Evolution.
But what's his name? The one that left. You cannot get nothing. I mean, something from nothing.
We understand that. No one claimed that.
So therefore,
but that does not mean a creator. You're putting a deliberate creator on it.
Right. So Nate, this actually goes against what Genesis says, because according to Genesis, something can come from nothing.
I don't believe in the Bible. I don't believe in the Bible.
Okay, you don't believe in the Bible. All right, great, cool. So
I was also going to bring that up too, because that is literally the creation story. That it was all
something
black
from
and
nothing.
a blank slate, and then God created something from literally nothing.
Gotcha.
That's literally what the creation
so Nate,
story
you don't believe in the Bible. That's all good and well, but now we're trying to understand what we're trying to get to. Where are we trying to get to here?
I believe certain things in the Bible, but not all of it, because you could easily be deceived.
That's fine. What are we trying to get to here? What are you trying to understand from us?
Well, I'm getting to what you're asking. The reason to believe.
A good reason to believe in a God. Something can't come from nothing, but that doesn't tell me that a God exists.
Okay. So how do you explain our body?
We evolved. We
literally just said that. We evolved.
Our body, how it's created.
Our body is not created. It
evolved.
It evolved.
We are created in the womb.
Okay, so Nate. When you say created, do you mean something deliberate, like we were deliberately put together like this?
We are lifeless.
I think he means the literal reproduction. Like, how is your body in this exact form?
No, man. He's here to waste our time. I'm not doing that.
He's being dumb and misconstruing our points entirely.
Exactly.
Well,
all right.
And particularly my points, in particular, Volcy, because I feel like he was at least trying to understand you. I just feel like it was his misogyny kicking in, trying to misunderstand me.
Likely.
But
all right, no, because Nate, I kicked you off because you're not saying anything. I have no idea what you're even trying to argue.
Yes,
all right, so
like you were not kicked off because you were running in circles.
Yeah, we're just going in circles. I'm not gonna waste any of our time. All right, JB, let's go ahead and get back to you and what you're trying to say. You understand why we think that the creation story is untrue because of genetics and everything like that, right? Why do you think that it is true?
Okay, so just from what I gathered from what y'all was saying, what up on 16% on God. But from what I gathered from what y'all was saying, y'all think that we're part reptilian somehow.
No,
that's not.
No,
what we
JB,
said.
that's not what we said. So, JB, stop.
Maybe I missed it.
Yes, you did mishear, because we said several times that we're mammals, and there is a species of lizard out there that reproduces to parthenogenesis. How in any of that did you think that we said that humans are part lizard? Where did you get that from?
Like literally.
Like I don't know, man. It just sounds like kind of left field.
No, it means that you're not listening. That's what it means. You're not listening. No one ever said that we came that we're part lizard, bro. No one said that.
Because that would be a delusional ass take that don't have evidence either, just like your God. So that's not what we said.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not trying to be forceful or mean or anything like that. But I actually need y'all to listen up, bro, and lock in and actually understand what we're trying to say. No one said we came from lizards, bro. No one said that. So I have no idea where you got that from. That means that you actually weren't listening. I'm not trying to be mean here, but that's just the truth. You weren't listening. So actually listen to what we're trying to say here. There is a species that reproduces to parthenogenesis. It's a lizard species. It's called the whip-tailed lizard from Mexico. It existed through parthenogenesis. All right. We are not part lizard. No one said that. We are mammals. So mammals need males in order to reproduce. What we did say is that the Y chromosome for males is slowly disappearing in humans. So it's possible that in a future that males, me and you, us that have, you know, the Johnson and the Tallywhacker, we may not exist in 100, 200,000 years, or we may be very, very rare. And at that point,
therefore, parthenogenesis through evolution may kick in humans, or we're going to go extinct, obviously.
Or we'll go extinct.
But
yeah.
So those are only two options.
Those are only two options, exactly. So that's what we said, JB. Now, is all that understood?
Not that human beings are part lizard. Like, I don't even know where you would get that from that statement.
All right. So
okay.
Now do you understand, JB?
Now, yeah, I got a better perspective. But my only issue with that is, like, you would be suggesting that this is just a natural process. I strongly disagree with that, because I mean, if you look at the scans, right? Well, like, if you just look at the data with DNA and testosterone, et cetera, which is a huge driver on what separates a man from a woman, it's a huge driver, right? You can see that the food and the cloud seeding and the things that they pump out water through, like the microplastics, et cetera, has played a huge part in that. That is not natural, bro. Like, if you look at the inventions of even things as small and as simple as
all right, cool. So let's say
right?
let's say that the degenerative process of the Y chromosome disappearing in humans is not natural. It's because of things that we're pumping out into the environment and it's affecting us. Cool. Now what?
Because it doesn't change the point that was made. I'm like in the future, because of that fact, there will not be males or will not be as many. That doesn't change that fact.
Well,
I'm like
evolution.
But JB, what I would also say, hold on, JB. What I would also say is that we're not getting to a God here, or why you think the creation story is true. But we can skip all that, right? Let's skip why you think the creation story is true. It's not. There's no evidence of it, right? So the only question
I destroyed it by bringing up genetics that he has nipples. Him having nipples is proof that the creation story is not
it's
true.
Untrue.
And then I'm like, and if he believes it is true, I want him to put it to the test. What I want you to do is go into your kitchen, get out a butcher knife, cut out a rib, put it in dirt, and I want to see a human come out. And then I'll believe the creation story.
So you want me to mutilate myself to put my God to the test? I think not.
But, all right, cool. So we're not gonna put your God to this. All right, so JB, that's fine. That's fine. But you understand that modern science contradicts the creation story. You understand that?
I would say not exactly. So I would say what is pushed, absolutely.
No, exactly.
If you look at
what do you mean by what is pushed? What does that mean?
If you look at abiogenesis, right? If you look at that, and you look at the order of things, right? Like, there's no way, no how that we could have like life come from now. If we just talk about science in general.
I'm sorry, JB. I'm sorry,
we never
JB.
said that.
Hold on. Everybody pause. I'm sorry, JB. That doesn't really answer my question. I know you think you answered my question, but you didn't. Science, modern science, contradicts the creation story. You understand that it does, right? Evolution, abiogenesis, all this contradicts the creation story, all of it.
Every single one of it. The fact that you have nipples is a contradiction to the idea that males came first.
So you understand all that as a contradiction. That's all. Just ask you. You understand?
In fact, your Y chromosome being a broken X defeats that purpose.
Right. So
can I ask only one question?
What's up, Culture?
Okay, so like, do you actually think that it's like accident? Because if gravity was like,
Culture, wait for me real quick. Floppy over here on my Discord has been patient for the past hour and a half. Floppy, now that we can all hear you, you can now join into the conversation. What do you think is a good reason to believe in a God?
Well, first off, I want to say I'm already sort of rejecting the premise of your question because I'm already atheist. I don't really believe in any God.
Okay, cool.
But I do want to have a bit more of a nuanced
we're not hearing
to believe. Is there a good reason to
Wait,
believe in
hold on. No one is. Y'all can't hear Floppy.
Nope.
Floppy, say mic check.
No.
Mic check.
Say it again, Floppy.
Mic check. 1 2 1 2.
Y'all didn't hear that? Everything.
You
here
might
is
need
going
to
off.
change your output.
Everything here is going off. I don't know why. Give me a second. Yeah, let me change the output. All right, say mic check again, Floppy.
Mic check. 1 2 1 2.
Y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, now they heard you. All right, great.
I did.
Good.
All right, cool. So, Floppy, you said that you're an atheist, you're a non-believer as well. So, cool.
Yeah. But from an atheist point of view, I do think there are a couple of good reasons to believe in a God.
All right, cool. But what is it?
Well, it provides people a lot of relief. As an atheist, I'm not really looking forward to death. And if I happen to be Christian or raised Christian, I wouldn't really have that concern. Christian communities, it helps a lot of people, to be a part of a community. And, the church can offer that. The Muslim church, Buddhist church, Christian church. So I do think there are a lot of benefits to being a believer.
Right. So
And
I
don't.
I get that, right? A benefit of being a believer is you have a built-in community, especially here in the United States. Wherever you move to the United States, you're gonna find a community. It's built in. There's churches everywhere, right? Like even down in South Florida, like Miami is not really the Bible Belt, but there's still a church on every corner in Miami. So cool. You can that's all going well. You can find a community everywhere. However, can atheists create community? Because I did. I'm even having an in real life event. We even have a whole group text going on right now. So doesn't that mean that we have a community as well?
Well, yeah, sure, but
sure, okay. So the other thing is that hold on. The other thing is that as an atheist, you say you're not looking forward to death. No one looks forward to death. Even Christians. Christians don't look forward to death so much that they base their entire worldview that they'll live forever in the sky. So even they're not looking forward to death. No one is looking forward to death, bro. So it seems that this entire thing of it's a good reason to believe in a God because they think they'll live forever. That's a good reason. Like no one looks forward to death. As if you're like have an issue of self-deletion.
It provides a bit of relief, at least.
Relief for what?
For most people.
Relief from what?
Constantly being afraid of being dead and just nothingness. People don't like that. It's nicer
As
to
an
think.
atheist, I'm not
I'm
afraid
going
of
to be
death.
nice in the clouds in heaven and such.
Hold on, Floppy. Someone responded. Go ahead, Kay.
I said, as an atheist, I'm not terrified of death. In fact, I was more afraid of it. I'm like when I was a Christian. In fact, because of the Bible and all the things it says about Judgment Day and at the end of times and all of that, I had more fear when I was a Christian than I do as an atheist. So,
well, yeah, that's
like,
fine. Then you can choose to be atheist. I'm not saying nobody should be.
Well,
atheist.
I didn't choose
You
to be
understand that.
atheist. I'm like, my belief. My lack of a belief in a God is not a choice. It's just how the brain works.
Yeah, I'm unconvinced.
I'm not convinced like I formerly was.
Well, that's a fair point. Let me think.
All right, so Floppy, I get where you're coming from, right? A good reason is that it provides hope, community, relief, and everything like that. My only thing is that can come from anywhere. So I don't really give it to religion for those things, because I can get community by being an atheist. The people are around me, provide me hope and relief. My family does it. Food does it. My wife does it. So that's why I don't give it to Christianity or any religion. I don't want to pick on Christianity itself, but any religion that, these are good reasons, because it provides those things. Like, you can get those from anywhere.
Also,
See what I
you
mean,
can
Floppy?
create community for yourself. like
That's
you
true.
pointed out.
But considering right now most of the population, most of the people who have power, are religious in some way. And if you really want to start a movement or convince people or to change the world for the better, it would seem right now easier to just adapt to religion instead of trying to
I don't
convince
agree with that,
everyone
though.
the thing they've believed for their entire life is completely wrong. And then only that way can we make progress.
I have agree and have disagree, but hold on. I have agree, I have disagree. But go ahead, Kate. What you're saying?
No, I disagree because I feel like religion is exactly the reason why we're in the world's in a state of chaos. Well, one of many reasons, but it's on top of the list of why the world is, and it's the reason that oppression exists. For example, like women being namely formerly the Black community under enslavement here in the U.S., as well as the LGBTQ community have been marginalized and oppressed, has been mainly due to religious persecution. In the state of the church in particular. I know it exists in Islam as well, but we're in the U.S., so Christian doctrine and Christian nationalism as tied to white supremacy is a thing. So we're going to focus on Christianity.
Right.
Christianity in itself is is a major problem of why the things that are happening in the U.S. are happening.
And I'll also, just to add on to that in the West, at least, and especially in the United States, Christianity operates in a white supremacist fashion. That doesn't mean that every single Christian is a white supremacist, but the culture of Christianity in America is built upon white supremacy, which is why
I wouldn't say that every Christian is a white supremacist, but I would say that everyone that practices Christianity in the West is upholding white supremacy,
right,
in some shape, form, or fashion.
And the religion of whiteness actually shows this. And matter of fact, they've been proving it nowadays with all the Catholics being mad at the Pope simply for saying to welcome strangers and foreigners and everything like that. They're calling him woke and all this other good stuff. So that means that Christianity, at least the way it operates in America, simply upholds white supremacy. But I do agree with you that it's easier to get people into a movement if you use religion for it. It is way easier because of the way that religion works in the West. It's way easier to do that. But so I agree with that part, right? But I don't agree that necessarily in order to create a movement, you need to have a religion, or you need to put religion into it, because Black Lives Matter wasn't religious at all, and that was still a major movement.
It wasn't religious, but most Black people are Christian.
Which is why if you go to a Black Lives Matter chapter, you'll see them open up with a prayer and everything like that. But that entire movement didn't start off as a religious thing. You see what I'm saying, Floppy? So you don't really need. I get what you're saying. Like, it's easier to go with the stream, but we don't have to.
That's fair. But what you talked about earlier about the evangelicals, I think there should be a stark difference between normal Christians and radical evangelical Americans.
Agree.
But I would argue that making that distinction in itself is just a coping mechanism, because they are a part of your religion. Well, they are part of the Christian religion. You can't erase that fact. And I think it is a cop, and it gives me the same energy when Christians be like, not all Christians are, that he or she is not a real Christian. When we get to you cannot erase the fact that that the foundation of the church is built off of oppression. That the reason that Christianity has been spread the way is through oppression and violence. Literally, and there's so many historically, like through Christianity, ways to prove that. We could talk about the Spanish Inquisition, we could talk about the Crusades, we could talk about chattel slavery in the U.S., we could talk about even going to the continent of Africa, literally Europeans pillaging the African continent of its resources, and then literally, in order to get, and then the missionaries going over there after all that, giving them a plate of food and being like, we'll give you this plate of food and some water, basically. Metaphorically and literally,
Yeah,
but
I get what
mostly
you're saying.
metaphorically. If you become a Christian, and here's the Bible, and here's a plate of food, you cannot tell me that is not white supremacy. That is, in fact,
It definitely
that is literal definition of colonization.
It definitely is. All right, so Floppy, go ahead, Floppy. You could do one last thing, and then I gotta get back to Koja and Lena. I actually been waiting for Lena to come on. I'm about to end the stream, so it sucks like in about 20 minutes or 30 minutes, but we'll go ahead and finish off with Lena. But Floppy, did you have anything else?
Yeah, I would argue what you two just described should be more to. I think capitalism should be more to blame for that than just religion.
No, I agree.
Because if it weren't for the profit incentive that comes from colonization, religious people would have probably never done all that awful stuff.
But I disagree. And the reason I disagree is because Christianity in particular, right, profits off of the poor. Like literally, it exploits the poor and it exploits vulnerable populations. The fact that
all right, guys, I gotta get to
if
the
anything,
other guests.
Christians, the whole thing about Christianity is that it appeals to oppressed groups. That's the whole reason why it started.
Yeah, and they exploit those groups as well.
So the nasty things about religion that we experience now, I think that's more it's being influenced by profit instead of it influencing people to do horrible things.
No, I mean you can get around that, man. Even if there is no profit, you can still do horrible things. Look at the civil rights movement. All those Christians were saying that their segregation and the oppression of black people was all based on religion. There was no profit around that. So you can use religion to do anything.
I would argue they were mostly just using religion as an excuse for their prejudice.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
The fact that they had the ability to do so is a problem in itself. They use religion.
Everybody has that ability. What?
Right. Hold on. Everybody pause. Okay. Yeah. So Floppy, what we're saying is that when you said that we should describe these things as what's happening is as more as capitalism than the religion, what we're saying is that
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that, because we've seen even without profit incentive, they still had discrimination and oppression. You don't have to have a profit incentive in order to do that. Again,
it wasn't until just recently that the Catholic Church even allowed black people to be members. So you're not going to get me to agree with that.
Right. So what we're saying is that the way that Christianity, at least in America, the way that it works, upholds white supremacy, and there's been research on this that shows that. But Floppy, I do got to get to the other guest, all right? Because I've been on for a while, and my wife is gonna kill me. All right, we're gonna go ahead and talk to Koja and Lena. Floppy, I appreciate you being here. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and talk to Koja and Lena and close this out. All right. Koja, what you said that you're over 18 and you can't give us a good reason to believe in a God. And then Lena, I've been on your panels before, so we'll go ahead and talk. Thanks for coming by. All right, y'all. Let's try to finish this off in like the next 20 minutes. Let me put on a timer for myself, because once that hits 0, I'm out. All right. Koja, what do you think is a good reason to believe in a God?
I think that a good reason to believe in God is that if gravity was only a little bit stronger or weaker, we would either be floating or be smirked to the.
You think is a good reason to believe in a God?
Yeah. Hi. Well, thank you for having me. I do believe that a good reason to believe in God is just that He answers most questions that we can't get through science, most difficult life questions that we can't get. I don't believe a belief in God is a single scientific proof, right? But I do understand reality as a whole, to me, right? Order and consistency and nature, the existence of our awareness and human, how everything. I feel like life has order. I don't believe it's just by chance for me.
All right. I mean, what you just said can be explained through science. Like, you know, our consciousness is, from what we've seen, is an emergent property. Existence in of itself is still a mystery. We're not sure, but us like seeing order and patterns everywhere, that's also explained through anthropology, anthropological science. Humans, to survive in the wild, we had to see patterns everywhere. We had to recognize agency, because if you didn't, you could die. So right now, the way that we evolved is to just recognize patterns, just to recognize agency. What that causes, however, is that now we see agency everywhere, which is why you have animist religions where they think that the wind is a spirit. They think that trees are a spirit. They think that rocks are spirits. They think all those things, because they see agency everywhere, because our mind was developed to order to recognize agency. That doesn't mean that rocks and volcanoes and wind have agency. It's just what our mind is doing, because it evolved to see things that way. You see what I'm saying? So like science can explain these things. I don't think it's necessarily a God has to explain it.
Well, and I understand what you're saying. It's just like we don't understand the why, like in science, right? Like majority of the time, we don't understand the why. The why meaning, like, why does something exist at all, or you know, why the laws of physics. Like there is order. Do you believe that universe or or the world, like the earth, has order? Like,
No.
Because that means it's deliberate, and we don't agree with that.
But science explains how things work, but it doesn't really explain the why. And I think like
It doesn't have to. That doesn't mean a God exists.
And actually, that's that just a bit of a pushback, a bit of a correction. Yeah, agreed. It doesn't have to explain God exists, but there are things where scientists can explain why. You would actually have to tell me, like, what exactly are you talking about? The why. There are not everything we don't know everything, right? So not everything is going to have an answer for why, but a lot of things do. So you will have to actually answer, like, or not answer, where clarify on what science can't say why it happens, and then we go down the list.
And,
so I'm going to be.
And
a
I
whole
would
list,
also argue that that a belief in a God doesn't actually answer why either. It's just God of the gap fallacy, basically.
Okay, but the idea of a God is implanted into every single human being.
JB, you are not the one to be talking right now. That's Lena.
Yeah, it's Lena's turn, but I'm gonna get you in, JB, because when this hits 0, I'm gonna be out of here. All right. So
I'm saying, like, why don't the science doesn't explain, like, why we have personal experiences, why we have why do we create a sense of purpose? So, you know, why do we have, like, I guess, subjective experiences? It doesn't actually fully explain that, and also just why existence in at all. Like, right, if life has no meaning, right, if we're just like a speck, if we're just like, you know, meaningless, nothing, it doesn't matter. I believe, like, why do we have something at all rather than just like chaos or nothingness? Like it doesn't have to be anything, but there is, right? And science can see that there is order because it just studies the order. Like, you can see science does say that there's like a form of order. It just studies.
You know
order.
what?
Okay, actually, that's
I'm like, let me tell you something.
I'm like, JB.
Now I dropped JB.
Oh.
Hold on, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
I
you.
dropped JB because because I saw you talking slick in the comments. So I'm gonna show you that I have more power than your God. I'm gonna put you in the comments, bitch, and keep talking that shit. And I'm gonna mute you for the entire live.
I mean,
yeah, because I'm gonna show you how much of a bitch I can be.
So JB, I told you I'll let you talk. It's just I'm gonna get out of here when this hits 0. You ain't have to talk slick in the comments.
And I'm like, and team, you keep on talking that shit in the comments. I'm gonna mute your ass too.
Yeah. You ain't have to do all that, y'all. It's not that big of a deal. All right. So, Lena, when it comes to the why for everything, right? There actually is science that does explain that. It's a psychological adaptation. We seek purpose because it helps us survive. If humans do not seek purpose, usually they become self-deletion. Basically, they don't commit it, but they start thinking about it because they think they have no purpose. And we've seen that multiple times, right? So science does explain that. It's a psychological and biological thing. It helps our survival. It helps our well-being. You see what I mean? Now, existence, you are correct. We don't know why existence is. Why is there something rather than nothing? That's a complete mystery. But that doesn't really.
Right there. Can I stop you right there? I mean, I know you host, but I really want you to like kind of just grasp that, because I honestly feel like, for me personally, if we talking about logical things, right, and we're like, what makes sense more logically, right? Me, for instance, like, I see God as a deeper reason behind anything and why things exist at all. So for me, it's just that I cannot fathom, right? And not that I want to use it as comfort, but it's just like, if we're going to make something be logical and make the most logical sense, we should try to see, why don't we have the answers? We should have the answers. We should. If we have answers to other things, why is there just a stop? Like, there's a stop with science after unaliving. They don't know what the conscious does after unaliving. They don't know. They know what the body does, right? But they don't know exactly like what the consciousness goes, or what happens to the consciousness after. There's literally like a stop, and it's only because there's a limit to what we can know, and I think that's just unfortunate. So for me, my belief is based on what I believe that God can only give, and what He is only able to provide.
Hold on, Lena. Nate, you've been talking that shit in the comments for a good little minute. I never said that. I said that the first human was a Black woman, and that is proven by science as well. The first known human was. So I'm gonna mute you, because see, you people have been playing on my time today, and I don't appreciate that.
All right, let's do this. Don't worry about the comments, because I gotta get out of here soon. So let's not talk to the comments anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead, Lena.
All right. So Lena, this is what I'm saying. Death is the hard stop, right? And from what we've seen, consciousness stops too. Like, we've never detected consciousness after death. Like, there's nothing after that. So that would seem to imply that consciousness is an emergent property of our brain, because there's nothing else after that. But when you say, because we can't explain existence, therefore God, that's a God of the gaps fallacy, isn't it not?
No, it's not therefore God. It's just that the fact for me is that, wouldn't you want things to make logical sense?
All right, but the thing is, putting a God at the end doesn't mean it's logic. That makes logical sense.
Well, that's what you're saying, right? And so if you had something, I guess, in life, right, that you had to figure it out, and you didn't have any explanation for it, but you somehow couldn't figure it out, but therefore you're feeling a missing piece here. It's just like with a puzzle. If you have a puzzle, right, and you have a missing piece, you cannot complete that puzzle because there's a missing piece.
Correct. Exactly. We do not have all the puzzles to explain existence, but that doesn't mean that the puzzle is filled with a God.
Why not? Okay, so
why not? Because we have no evidence of that.
So, all right. For one, I do want to make it clear that evidence is not something that is like in our belief, right? Belief means that we believe in, right? We have faith. Faith is, the substance of things that's hope for, the evidence of things not seen. You get what I'm saying? So we don't, like, the Father does not operate off of like, measurable, testable, evidence in that nature. Like
which is why there's no reason to believe it either.
Okay, but we believe a lot of things that we don't have physical, intangible evidence for.
Like what? What else?
I would say that we don't have physical evidence for. Well, let me take it back. I would say logic. You could say you could do your homework and just prove that you have logic in that way, but you cannot hold your logic. You cannot test the measurements of your logic.
Right. I mean, when it comes to that, right, that's just a description of a process of what we're doing. It's not really like we can test that. But when I would say this, right. Again, when we talk about does our puzzle pieces, the missing puzzle that we have for existence, it doesn't apply a God to me. And when you ask me why not, and I said there's no evidence of that, and you said we don't take evidence in our beliefs, my question to you would be why not? Because you necessarily take evidence for everything else. And the example that I always give to everybody is, if I told you I had $10 billion in the Bahamas, quit your job and follow me there, will you believe me?
But even outside of that,
Hamburger, yeah, I believe you. I mean, I don't have to have evidence as long as I'm getting taken care of.
Lena, do you understand what you just said right now? I'm a stranger on the I'm a stranger on the internet.
Stranger.
And I told you I have $10 billion in the Bahamas, and you're gonna believe me?
Well, can I get to know you as a stranger?
No, I'm just telling you I have $10 billion in the Bahamas. Matter of fact, yeah, let's do that. We've been dating for 3 years. And I told you, hey babe, I have $10 billion in the Bahamas. You gonna believe me?
Yeah, well, why not?
You will actually, and they have 10 billion. They told you they have $10 billion in the Bahamas, and they've never showed you that they've had that type of money. You just believe them.
Well, what? Well, okay. So what occurred?
You understand, Lena? You understand? This is how people get abused, right?
I do, Father Sleep. Okay, I've been dating you for 3 years, right? I do not understand how you got your funds, right? Now, if I was to ask you, how did you get the funds? And
There you go. There you go.
Answer?
There you go. If I just told you, trust me, I have $10 billion.
You would ask, oh well, how did you get the money? Did you inherit it? Did you do you come from wealth? Like I'm like, and Volcy would say either I came from wealth, maybe he has some businesses, and I'm like, and he in his Bahamas he has an offshore account, business account of $10 million. You would ask for verifying and clarifying information to verify the point that he has $10 million. The fact of the matter is, in every other context, we all do that. But when it comes to religion, all of us in all logic, all consistency, all matters, walk by faith and not by sight. It's literally the ideology of the church. I'm like, believe God is real because I said so. And I'm going to adopt your children to believe so too.
Right. So that's what
there being no evidence.
So that's what I'm saying, Lena. The first thing, if we're dating for 3 years and I said I had $10 million in Bahamas, the first thing you would say is, how did you get it? Right. So when that means, that question right there, you know what that means? You're seeking evidence. So in every other context, we need evidence for someone saying what they're saying. So why not this?
I'm like, and even further from that point, Lena, I doubt you would go to a doctor. Let's say you needed to have surgery. I doubt that you would go and have surgery without clarifying their educational background. I'm like, what makes them the best surgeon? I'm like, that you can get to provide whatever surgery you're getting or whatever healthcare you're needing. You're going to request and do research on the people that are doing your healthcare. You're going to look for verifying and clarifying information. Like I said, in any other context.
Yeah. So, but remember when I stated earlier, I said that God does not. When we're not trying to say, okay, there's just like a pushback. Okay, God, because God is spirit, right? So for me, I know that God is spirit. I believe that God is spirit. Therefore, we cannot see a spirit, but I mean, sometimes you can probably even feel the effects of a spirit. I don't know if any one of y'all had probably like the paranormal or whatever, if y'all ever, I don't know, growing up, maybe something like that. Now I want to say paranormal, but I don't know what science call it. I mean, if they even have a name for that. But it's like, you know, the looks. What is it called?
It's paranormal. You had the right word.
Oh, okay. Well, but do it explain why? Can you let me know why?
Yeah, delusions. The delusions, mistakens, all that happens. I've had paranormal experiences before. It was either I was deluded or I was mistaken. It happens all the time.
Okay, all right, but okay. Besides all that, I do want to.
And when I say deluded, I don't mean that you're going crazy. I just means that you like your mind does that all the time. Your mind plays tricks on you, just like the Ghetto Boy song. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, you're good. For me, I'm just like, okay, I know that God is spirit. I cannot see gravity, right? But I do see and feel the effects of gravity. I do not see my logic, but I do believe that it's there. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I can feel, we don't see God, but we feel his effects. We feel his love. We feel his peace. We feel and all those are anecdotal, but at the same time,
I got you.
Still our personal.
But how do you feel God's love if you can't verify
For example, when my mother was living, at least when when she was alive, when I was a child, I could feel her love because love is not just a feeling; it's also a feeling that is backed by action. So the things that you do for people show you their love. You can see when someone loves you because the things that they do for you out of their love. That's why there's called love languages. How people show their love. So it is not just a feeling, but it's a feeling backed by action.
All right. And I know that it's a feeling backed by action because I feel I have those experiences, and which you all will consider is anecdotal experiences.
So this is what I would say, Lena. So yeah, sure. When it comes to that, right? When it comes to the entire, we feel his presence, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, we can't see gravity, but we see its effects. But the difference is we can measure the effects, right? We can measure the effects of gravity. We can't really do this for God because, like you said, it's more anecdotal. But I have two things that I would say. Number one, I'll say two things. Number one, this is kind of what kind of annoys me, or not mad or anything like that, but I kind of find to be kind of a silly position to hold, because at number one, we would say that God is spirit. We can't, detect him physically. But at the same time, he physically interacts with the universe. So if he physically interacts with the universe, we should be able to detect him physically, right? That's the one thing I would say. But the second thing I would say is all the feelings that you're bringing up about the love, the peace, et cetera, can those be replicated in other contexts? And we found several times that, yes, it can be. Not only in other religions, but also in secular settings as well, because I use this example all the time. The same feeling you get from church, you can get it at a Beyonce concert. You see what I'm saying? So does that mean that Beyonce is a deity? Pretty sure to the Bayhive she is, but is she an actual supernatural being? Our answer would be no. You know what I mean? So if we can replicate the same feelings, not only in other religion, but in secular settings as well, is that feeling coming from a spirit, or is it something that our mind is doing under a certain environment and under certain conditions?
Right. And I understand what you're coming from, that, like where you're going at with that. But at the same time, like the love is unconditional. The love is not something that is conditional. It is unconditional. It's not something that
God has conditions on his love, because if you don't follow his word and you don't believe in him, he'll send you to hell. So that's conditions.
So, and I think that is where people get it kind of like a little bit misconstrued. It's not that when we look at it in that, because I'm pretty sure that is how we've all been taught. That is how we all been, like, trained, I guess, or however people wanted to bring that about to you. Okay, if you don't do this, therefore hell. Like, I believe that it's an invitation. It's not something that is like, it's not something that he's forcing down your neck. It is an invitation.
Let me ask you this question, Lena. If we reject the invitation, do we suffer forever?
Okay, so I will answer your question because I don't like to kind of like, I will say, if you don't believe, yes, you will. In John 3:16 it says he for God so loved the world that he gave his God's son, that whosoever believes in him will have eternal life. So it's not like an ultimatum. And I think when the mindset is there, you got out of time.
But Lena, that's an ultimatum. You either believe me and live forever, and if you don't believe, you suffer.
Okay, so that's just like, so would you say that with anything, like a plant? Like, if a plant doesn't have sunlight, then that plant unalives?
What?
I'm like, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that God is like a father? Do you believe God is a father figure?
I do believe the father.
And I know you do, because that's typically how Christianity, in particular, is. How they believe and see this quote God. So I wonder. So I'm going to put you into this context. Let's say that you have. That you're a mother, right? Your mom. You have two. I don't know if you're actually a mom, but I'm just. Oh, you have children. Actually, this makes it even easier. So you have children, right? How many children? For clarification,
I just have children.
Oh, children. Oh, girl, you don't got to ask. It just would help me with my scenario. So, as a mother of children, right? You see your children. You went through all of that labor, all that. And I'm sure you love your children tremendously. Like I would assume you would. So,
let's say that your children do something let's say, I don't know, you tell them to not put their hand on the stove because of course you don't want your children to get their hand hurt, right? And you're cooking and doing all those things, cooking to nourish the bodies of your babies, right? And and they touch the stove. If they touch the stove and eat, and let's say eat some fruit off the counter that they were not supposed to eat, that you told them because you wanted them to wait for dinner, do they deserve hell and damnation for that?
Well, I would provide them with, if they hurt themselves in the stove, I would provide them with a Band-Aid. Now, right? They have the opportunity to receive that Band-Aid, which is called for healing, which is Yahusha. Yahusha is the source and the Band-Aid. He gave us. I'll see if we were able to touch that stove and then have a supplement, right? Or a something to fix the boo-boo, but then that would be considered as no help. But there is help. There is a solution.
But here's the thing, Lena. Under this example, right? You can give your child the Band-Aid. But let's say your child doesn't want a Band-Aid, or like, I don't feel like having a Band-Aid. Would you then throw them outside, get a switch, strip them naked, beat them, and leave them in the sun, and said, because you didn't accept my my Band-Aid, now you're gonna get beaten by reeds and left in the sun, in the hot burning sun in Florida
for all eternity,
and get alcohol thrown on you every 2 days?
Well, I don't think that is.
Would that be abuse?
I don't think that is logical. I would never do that to my child. But see, the thing is the difference.
That's what hell is, though. That's what I'm saying.
No, but the difference is we don't understand the severity of our said sin. We're actual human beings right now talking to each other. We're like we're.
Lena, here's my thing. Here's my thing before I get out of here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna let you go.
What grave thing am I doing by simply not believing a story in a book that doesn't have any evidence? How is that so grave? Because at the end of the day, I've always said, if he wants us to believe all these things, it would be prudent to actually show he exists. But the only thing that we have is his community. Hold on, huh?
Where's that in the Bible?
Where's what in the Bible?
That he says, I, the Lord, requires for you to receive evidence that prove that I exist.
It's not in the Bible.
I don't believe that is.
It's not in the Bible.
So Lena, I understand that it's not in the Bible. But the issue that I'm having is that if does God actually want a relationship with us or not?
He does.
All right. So if he does, so Lena, hold on. If he does, why not simply give evidence that you exist first? It's a contradiction in terms. You can't say that I want a relationship with you, but I'm not going to show you I'm real. That's nonsense.
Okay, Volcy, can I use? No,
you don't have a lot of time. You could go on and on. Boxy, I don't want you to get in trouble. So I do gotta. Yeah, I do gotta get. And I come back. I mean, if you
tell Volcy, hey girl.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, she's gonna be mad at me because I'm 20 minutes over. But hey, she said hi. Yeah, she's gonna say whatever. But all right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead.
Hey girl.
All right, y'all. I gotta drop everybody. All right, y'all. I'm gonna be back tomorrow. All right, tomorrow it's gonna be me and Bar. We're gonna talk about Black people should not be Christian or Muslim, but I do appreciate y'all for being. Gonna get out of here. I'm gonna do the thing. I appreciate you all for being here. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Y'all have a good night, y'all. Remember, y'all. I always end off these lives. I always say that every man should be soft, be secure, be affectionate, be wise, be flexible, be thoughtful. Every man should be soft. Y'all have a good night. Peace.